Hi, everyone, and welcome to the season 2 introduction of all the players, which also doubles up as the game week 1 draws. So, we will tell you about all the players in brief and whatever we know and whatever they have told us. And hopefully, that will make you familiar with all of the players who you might meet in the future weeks. Today, joining me in this chat is Rahul Kottalgi. Hi, Rahul. I think he's based out of Mumbai, and you guys know him as the data cruncher, but he's actually also a question editor in chief and also writes many of our questions. Then we have Abhinav Dasgupta also joining us from Mumbai. Abhinav is also one of our question writers and is sort of the person who keeps us all sane by showing us the right path, the right passage to how to work things around. And we thank Abhinav for always his help whenever we've reached out to you. Abhinav, I hope you're doing well and hope you enjoy this session with us. And finally, then we have Amrit Pritom Chetia. He's from Delhi. And Amrit also writes a lot of our questions and also sort of helps us out whenever we need help desperately. He's one of the well-wishers of the league. And finally, we have Aryapriya Ganguly. He's one of the people who came up with the idea of this league, and he's also someone who writes a lot of questions and helps with the stuff in the background, and also knows the network of quizzers all over India. So each of them know quizzers from different parts of India and the world. So it will be a very interesting session. So without wasting any more time, let's start and show the draws. Remember that the seating order you see in the on the draws is the seating order each of you will follow in the match as well. That said and done, welcome to Game Week 1 draws, and we'll start right away with the first match. So the first match, we have Jayakantan R in seat 1, CR Rajan in seat 2, Sarthak Jain in seat 3, and Srirath Othera in seat 4. Well, what can we say about JK? The less we say, the better, because everybody knows his quizzing credentials. He was one of the top tier players in our season 1. Extremely well-rounded quizzer. He's always there to surprise you. He can beat the big guns on his day, and he's a very consistently high-scoring quizzer. Arjun, you know something about CR, don't you? Yeah, you're muted. Quickly.
Okay, you're on mute.
DG, you might know. Okay, so Arjun, yes, you know a bit about CR, right?
CR, regular from Chennai, kind of a return to competitive quizzing for him, from what I understand. So yeah, look forward to having CR play FundaesLiga.
I think he's one of the new players this season.
Yep, he's joining us afresh. Like I said, it's a bit of a fresh start in competitive quizzing for him through season 2. So let's hope it plays out well for CR.
What about Srirath?
Srirath is from Quiz Dubai, exceptionally good quizzer. Seen him a couple of times in some of the quizzes I've done for QD. Young person from college, but very, very promising quizzer.
Rahul, JK, I think, is one of the top scoring players from last season, isn't he? Be it in total points answered, points scored, ranking, and so on.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the MVPs of last season. Not only was he second in rank overall, he was also in the top 10 in 3 different topics: entertainment, lifestyle, and media. In addition to that, we also know that he scored 16 in one of the quizzes on his own questions, along with the 15. So yeah, definitely one of the guys to watch.
All right, let's move to game 2. So here we have Sreshth Dastidar, Rahul Buddhavarappu, Prasant John Abraham, and Pat Gibson. Well, Sreshth Dastidar is from Calcutta, based in Bangalore. She's a very good quizzer. She has her strengths and niches, which she can beat any player on her day. Rahul, in fact, is someone who doesn't quiz so much. We actually Twitter friends, and I think he joined season 1 after seeing the league on Twitter. And from what I understand, Rahul has absolutely had a blast in season 1. And he's the sort of person who we love to see do well, because he is not someone who you could classify as a quizzer, but he is someone who has just sort of stumbled into the league and is having a lot of fun. Prasant John Abraham, well, he's very strong in world movies, in sports, and so on. And of course, the less we say about Pat Gibson, the better, to be honest, as season 1 champion. Anything you want to add, DG, about these people?
Prashant Abraham in particular, you write movies, pop music as well, and sports. Fairly well-rounded quizzer, quizzed with the Bombay Quiz Club, so I've seen him up quite close, and should be one of the dark horses for this match too.
And he does very well in the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship as well. By the way, JK was our seeded player in match 1, and Pat Gibson was our seeded player in match 2. Let's move to the game number 3. We have Siddhartha Senarai, Anirudh Anil Kumar, Dhruv Mukherjee, and Manu Sudhakar. I'll talk a bit about Dhruv while Rahul can maybe tell me about Manu in a bit. Well, Dhruv is actually excellent all-round quizzer. He doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, but he does enjoy his films and Indian entertainment tremendously. And he's someone who can beat the world's best on those topics. Siddharth Sinha joining us this season. Don't know too much about him, but I do know that he wanted to take part in season 1, but just could not because the seats were over. Rahul, anything about Manu?
Once again, Manu was one of the best players from last season. He had one big standout topic, one favorite topic of his, which is history. I think that's his biggest strength. If he can improve on lifestyle this year, I can see him going all the way.
Yeah, I mean, he came very close to actually making the Tier 1 final anyway. And what do we know about Anirudh, Arjun?
Anirudh is a quizzer based in Pune. I think he was at AFMC. Again, seen him for a while. Quite a good quizzer, I think, since his student days. And again, this looks like a proper group of depth when we look at all the 4 competitors.
Yeah, and just tell everyone, Manu is the seed of this game. Let's move to match 4, and I'll move to Amrit first up to tell me about some players in this game. We have Anwar Ghosh, Sachin Deshpande, Rahul Jayanti, and Subhaditya Basu. Amrit, Sachin, top contender generally for this league?
Yeah, he actually was, in my personal opinion, he did surprisingly well in season 1. I hadn't expected him close to the top 2 or top 3 tiers, but that just goes to show how good a general quizzer he is, and I really think he would be looking to improve his standing from last season.
Yeah, he was in the top 6 or 8 for a long time.
Yeah, exactly, for top 6 for a long time.
Yeah, Rahul Jayanti, he's known primarily the way we box people as business quizzers, but Rahul has shown in this competition that his interests lie beyond just business, and is also someone who has been a great supporter of our league by reading a lot of games and always motivating us by telling us how we like the questions or did not like the questions, and that's always appreciated. Anwar Ghosh was a sort of a giant slayer through the competition in one of the tier semifinals. He's a very young guy, by the way. He's in his less than 25. And in one of the tier semifinals, he beat Ingit and Ramki, which is quite a great achievement given the experience of both those players and the inexperience of Anwar. Arjo, do you know anything about Subhaditya? I think the new player this season.
Yeah. Subhaditya is an very interesting case because he participated in PQL, the Pro Quizzing League. So there's a lot of fresh blood infusion happening here. And cross-pollination, interestingly, the 2 leagues almost happen simultaneously, Pro Quizzing League as well as your first season of FundaesLiga. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of adapts to a more challenging turf now.
Interesting. So let's move to match 5. We have Kavin Ayapparaj, Udatta Dwara, Vinu Sanjay, and Vinod Hariharan. Rahul, Vinu, again, a serious contender for the title, considering he came 3rd out of 240 players in the league last season.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Number 3 across FundaesLiga last season. And let us not forget, he had the most own answers and the most aggregate answers last season as well. He had 159. So definitely someone who knows his stuff. Across topics, there's not too many weaknesses that he currently has. Probably if I had to pick one, it would be media. If he works on his media a little bit this year, I can see him go 2 steps better.
Very interesting. Amrit, you know Udatta for a while, right?
Yeah, he was actually part of the foundational quizzing people in Assam. Then he shifted to Australia. He's been quizzing, representing Australia in the Asian Quizzing League for a very, very long time. He's a very experienced quizzer. I think from what I've known, his strengths probably lie in food and drink and lifestyle type. So he'll be looking to improve on the other aspects of the game.
He likes finer things in life, doesn't he? And
yeah, he's a guy who likes the finer things in life. So,
and I think Kavin is either the elder brother or younger brother of Mukilan, who's also taking part in this league. So don't know much about Kavin, but I'm sure we'll know more. He's a new player. Here in this game, we have Vinu Sanjay, of course, the senior player. We'll move to match number 6. This is quite an interesting one. We have Vishwan Bhattacharjee, Arijit Sen, Vincenzo Tagle, and Brajendu Bhaskar. While you guys tell me take some time to tell me about the other players, let me just tell you a bit about Brajendu and Arijit. Well, Arijit is from Kolkata. He's done a lot of great things for quizzing in Kolkata. He's one of the people who started off the Kolkata Quiz Festival, which is sort of one of the more enjoyable quiz festivals for the fun beyond quizzing you can have. So that's Arijit Sen. He does a lot for quizzing, and he loves his quizzing as well. I do know he loves his WWE, and maybe we'll have a WWE quad or 2 this season. You never know. He's also someone who likes the finer things in life. But Brajendu Bhaskar, I think, Rahul, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think he topped the history. He had the most points in history, and for the longest time, he had a 100% bonus strike rate. So that is Brajendu for you. He is extremely strong. He had a poor quarterfinal in Tier 1, and he sort of crashed out, but he was always in the top 20 through the league. What about Vincenzo? Is there anything we know about him?
So we, in fact, as Team Artworks, played against Vincenzo's team at 2 different competitions over 1 weekend. It was a surprising turn of events that in OQL US as well as Championship Friendly, we played against that team, and Vincenzo stood out. The number of bonus attempts from his teammates that he swallowed up, or from us for that matter, fabulous performance. So I'm pretty excited to see how Vincenzo does at FundaesLiga.
Definitely stand out from that.
Vishayan?
Vishayan is the quizzer from Guwahati, I believe. Again, we saw a little bit of him in the Pro Quizzing League.
He's a young guy, and
he's a young guy. I mean, he probably started quizzing after I had come out of Assam actually. So, but yeah, he's a good quizzer. I've heard his name a lot. So we're doing.
We did see him at PQL, and he was rather good. So
that's great.
Again, this looks like a tough group as well.
Yeah, there is one favorite, of course, but in this competition, the top 2 win every game. So it's a open battle for the second place, to be honest. Let's move to match 7. We have Arjun Banerjee, Gaurav Parab, Prakhar Gupta, and Rushabh Menon. Rahul, while you dig up Prakhar's stats, let me just talk a little bit about Rushabh and the others. Rushabh is from IIT Madras previously. Now, he might have taken a small break from quizzing, but he's now roaring to come back into quizzing again. Very generalist quizzer. He has no real weaknesses, but just that he's been out of contention from quizzing for a bit. So maybe there's some rustiness involved there, but I'm sure this league will allow him to flourish once again. Gaurav and Arjun, both semi-casual quizzers, but they have done really well in season 1. They answered some very tough questions, and maybe because of their relative inexperience to their opponents, missed some easy ones, but I'm sure they'll learn as we go along more and more. I think Prakhar, yes, Rahul, you can tell me.
Prakhar, again, a very good quizzer. No real strengths in the sense he didn't finish in the top 10 in any single topic, but still managed to come 9th. I think that's a big credit to his consistency. Although lifestyle is something he could probably work on a little bit. Another interesting quirk is that he has the least amount of aggregate correct answers for anyone in the top 10 or maybe even the top 20. So I guess that's a good sign as well, knowing how to eke out results when it really matters.
I think he's one of the few people to beat Pat Gibson in the last season as well. So that, counts for something as well.
Yes, that should. Yeah.
So let's move on to the next game, and I'll start with DG first. We have Parthasarathi Khatak, Ajinkya Matsavar, Anushtup Datta, and Anuradha Dharwadkar. DG, go ahead. You can talk about more than 2-3 people.
Yeah, a couple of people I think quizzed with quite a bit. Anushtup Datta in particular, he's an absolute legend of the game, right? Based in Bangalore. I don't think there's ever been a movie question that anyone has asked and he hasn't answered, right? So Anushtup is absolute legend, runs a quiz called Sons of Lumiere, probably the most fiendish movie quiz I've ever attended. I know some of you end up winning it quite often, but so that's Anushtup, runaway favorite. PSG, Parthasarathi Khatak, doctor by profession, based in Calcutta. Again, really good variety of subjects, science, entertainment, food, particular, and again, quite a strong all-around quizzer.
I think we have 2 very strong film quizzers in this setup, both Anushtup and PSG.
Yes,
He's pretty strong in movies.
Anuradha joins us from the West Coast of India. She's one of the pioneering female quizzers in India right now. Very active, very motivational to young female quizzers. So thank you, Anuradha, for joining us season 2 as well. She had some very good weeks where she answered some very questions which appeared tough to the general public, and then she had some weeks where I think she herself would be like, I could have done better. So I'm sure Anuradha will be looking to aim for a much better performance this season. And Ajinkya, very casual quizzer, does not quiz much, but very happy to see him take part in FLQL season 1, and more happy to see him decide to take part in season 2 as well. Without a doubt, Anushtup is the seeded player here. We'll move.
But Ajinkya is infectious. He's just really enthusiastic.
Yeah, and that's so important.
Yeah.
So important. Yeah. We'll move to match number 9, and we have Vinod Sivarama Krishnan in seat 1, Gokul S in seat 2, Santonab Chakrabarti in seat 3, and Satish Thiruvenkataswamy in seat 4. Rahul, you must be having all the numbers about Gokul.
Gokul, again, specific topics that he's really good at. Few gaps in other topics, which if he can improve, I think he'll definitely improve on his 4th place showing in the Tier 1 finale. MVP in history and sports in the league sessions.
And Gokul beat Pritam in the Tier 1 semi-final, to be honest. Although the final went another way, Gokul can actually beat any player on his day. Arjo, Amrit, you guys will know about Vinod Sivarama Krishnan quite well. I mean, so do I, but go ahead.
We have quizzed against and with Vinod a fair number of times in Delhi here. And I mean, he's a very strong highbrow quizzer, strengths in comics, Tintin in particular, Tintin and Asterix. So if there are any Tintin or Asterix squads and other players, you know where your passes are not going to come from. So yeah, that's Vinod. Likes food and drinks, likes travel, likes history, geography, so on. So
Amrit, anything about Santonab?
No, I don't particularly know too much about him. I'm assuming he didn't participate in season 1, so
we'll know more about him as we go along.
Yeah.
Satish,
the last 4 or 5 years he's been quizzing actively. So let's hope season 2 is a nice platform for him to kind of mushroom.
And Satish is also one of our returning players. He did quite well last season. He's also not a very hardcore, serious-minded quizzer like we like to call some people, but he's good to see him take part again. Good luck to all players. Match 10, we have Alekhya Chakrabarti, Ananya Johari, Varun Rajiv, and Toyad Patnaik. I don't know much about Toyad, so I'll leave it to you guys, but I'll tell you about Alekhya. He's from Calcutta. He might be living in the West Coast right now. He's good in business. He's good in lifestyle and topics like that. Ananya Johari happens to also be my colleague at my workplace, but apart from that, he also enjoys business, lifestyle, sport, tennis. Those are his strengths, and it was good to see Ananya and Alekhya both sort of play season 1 because they don't quiz a lot because of their work reasons. Varun Rajiv, Rahul, you know him very well.
Yeah, he's been a quiz master at Son of Lume for many years now. It won't surprise anyone that he's in the top 3 in the league in both entertainment and media. Now, considering that those two account for 25% of the questions, expect him to be at the very top this season as well.
And he was, I think, top 4, top 5 for a while before a couple of losses or second places at the end. Just pushed him below, but he did have a Tier 1 finish. What about Toyad?
Toyad, again, we saw during the Pro Quizzing League, particularly good with sports. And yeah, should be a strong contender here as well.
Yeah. He's also one of the youngest participants from what I see here. 22, I think, 22 or 23.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Let's move to match 11. We have Sahil Sharma, Gururaj Kotnis, Ujjwal Deb, and Rishwan Jackson. Well, it's a very interesting game, but I think Sahil and Rishwan's strength sports cancel each other out. I think both of them were in the top 3 or 4 for the league in season 1 for answers in sports. And that will be interesting because that allows somebody like Gururaj or Ujjwal to sort of capitalize because of the cannibalization of what Sahil and Rishwan might do to each other. Both excellent quizzers on that day. Ujjwal Deb is joining us from Netherlands. He's a former Delhiite, and he's a top quizzer because he answers a lot of questions throughout his time in Europe, takes part in a lot of quizzes, a lot of solo quizzes. So a format like this actually helps him a lot because this is his bread and butter sort of style of quizzing where he does not need to rely on teammates, but just come up with answers himself. I think he was a Tier 1 player of this season. I think just lost out in the quarters or semis, and definitely someone who can easily be in the Tier 1 final, the grand final, and so on. but I don't know much about Guru Raj.
Guru Raj calls himself an occasional quizzer, so let's see what transpires in season 2.
Best of luck to everyone. Match 12 coming up. We have Raina Shruti, Aditi Chatterjee, Kapinjal Kishore Sharma, and Govind Grewal. DG, a little bit about Govind and Raina?
Yeah, so Govind Grewal, of course, quizzed with him now for close to 15 years. Incredibly good when it comes to anything entertainment, music, movies, even art, sciences. He's just absolutely exceptional. We recently conducted the Eunice D'Souza Memorial Literature Quiz. So literature is this other area where he's extremely strong. So Govind, I think, the runaway favorite in this match. Raina Shruti, seen a little bit quizzing with her from St. Stephen's. Again, very good with entertainment, I think arts as well. So I believe she is joining us for the first time, was it in season 1?
Yes.
So we look forward to Raina performing strongly.
Kapinjal, Amrit, you must be knowing him from your young quizzing days.
Yeah, he was quizzing along with me for the longest time. He's especially good in business. I think he won the Tata Crucible Guwahati edition like 4 or 5 times in total during his time at the IIT. He's a government officer now, so obviously can't probably, his season 1 performance indicates that he might have been away from quizzing for a while. But, I'm sure the taste of season 1 would have whetted his appetite, and now he'll be back for season 2 because he's a very good general quizzer. Very good general quizzer.
Aditi Chatterjee also joined us from Netherlands. I don't know much about her, but I do know that she takes part in a lot of online quizzing events during the lockdown. I've seen her name in Mimmerswell and a few other competitions here and there. And also, as a side note, she's also a spouse of one of the participants. We'll move on to the next round. This is match 13, lucky, unlucky, how we want to call it. This is Sanveer Singh, Syed Imdad, Nikhil Soneja, and Vinayak Singh Bhadoria. I think Vinayak is a young quizzer. I don't know much about him, but I do know that his brother, I guess it's his brother, Raghav Singh Bhadoria, is also taking part in this competition. So it will be good to see between the two siblings who does better in the competition. Sanveer Singh is someone who does not quiz much, but he has thoroughly enjoyed the season 1. And what's been most important is Sanveer has not given two hoots about the results. He has just taken the quiz as being him versus the question, and I think he has had a blast. And I think he can only go from strength to strength from his quizzical ambitions, because he's not someone who's quizzed much, and now he's developing the skills of sort of excelling in quizzing. Do we know anything about Syed?
Syed is from Assam, basically. He's part of the current crop of college and just out of college quizzers in Assam. I've heard very good things about him. I haven't seen him quiz live. So, I guess the increasing number of quizzers from Assam does indicate that, season 2 is definitely catching on. We had a very few people from Assam, but this time, due to the success of the first season, there will be probably a lot more of these quizzers coming up. So, best of luck.
Rahul will have some insights on Nikhil Soneja, who was leading the leaderboard in season 1 for 2-3 weeks at least.
That's right. He won the very first game, and he was in the lead or in the top 3 or 4 for a very long time. A big leader in terms of entertainment. He's number 2. And for those who know, he's also ranked consistently high in WQC and the Wiki quiz circuit as well. I think if he can work on his science and sports, he's definitely going to be a way up there.
I think India is a weakness of his because he lives in the Middle East. So I think he does he gets caught there. And also, I think one great thing about Nikhil is that the tougher the question, more likely for him to answer among against his competition. What I mean to say is answers where there's 10%, 12% of people answering across the league, you'll see Nikhil Soneja's name is up there. So that's always he sort of, he gets the really tough thing. So Nikhil's of course the favorite here, but honestly, it's an open spot for the second place in match 13, and Nikhil might do very well this season as well. Match 14, we have Madhur Tikar, Sumanta Sharti Datta, Vidya K, and Saman Subramani. So we'll talk on from the most famous to the least famous. So we'll go to Sumantra first. He is known as Central Fondi, and he's from Calcutta. He enjoys his arts, literature, and of course sports a lot. He also happens to be my school senior at La Martiniere. So we go back a long way, and Sumantra's taking part this season for the first time. Wish him the best of luck. Madhur is a very enthusiastic quizzer. He runs a WhatsApp quizzing group. I mean, that's not his main claim to fame, but he's an enthusiastic quizzer, and he also keeps people entertained and engaged with his very interesting questions about current affairs, on topical stuff. So Madhur has been like dealing with factoids and trivia through this lockdown, and I'm sure he will not only enjoy, but he will do very well. Vidya, do you know anything about it? She's a very late joinee into this competition.
And she calls herself a beginner, so we look forward to what she does.
Yeah. And we'll not much to know about Samant, I guess. He's just Rahul. You must be having some data because
Yeah, so considering that everyone who knows Samant knows he's a legend on the Indian quizzing circuit, so it's a little surprising that he's not, set FLQL on fire yet. He's of course the topper in lifestyle, but expect him to really set the stage ablaze even in media and history and science in the coming seasons if he plays to his potential, of course.
Yeah, I think.
And as a side note, his intensity with the notepad and ensuring that his pods ideas are in place is catching on. It's infectious. I hear a lot of young quizzers are inspired from that kind of intensity Samant is displaying.
Always good. Let's move on to match 15. We have Srinath Bhashyam, Shubhendu Saha, Amlan Sanyal, and Ankan Bansal. Ankan Bansal is a quizzer right now based out of Seattle, but before FLQL, he's been taking part in a lot of Mimir competitions, Mimir Well, and other competitions around. So Ankan not only knows the format, he knows the strategies to play this game, and maybe a little bit of weaknesses in India content, but he makes it up with the science and other stuff. Shubhendu, I guess Arjun, you know him better than most of us.
I mean, he has been one of the, when we started quizzing or attending open quizzes in Delhi, he was one of the few who would always qualify and win the quizzes, open quizzes here. Very strong in Indian history. I remember him doing a quiz on Indian elections in the run up to the 2014 elections, which was phenomenal as part of the original FundaesLiga Quiz League that ran in Delhi. So it's very, very senior, very experienced, and wide diversity across highbrow.
What about Amlan, Arjun?
So Amlan has been quizzing for the last 5 years now. Again, look forward to fireworks in season 2.
So Amlan was in the Mumbai PQL team, really, really good with sports. So yeah, should be a nice foil to, yeah. I mean, it should be a nice foil to my old teammate, competitor number 1. But more about him from Sreshth.
No, please, you go. You know him better.
No, Srinath's an absolute whiz. I mean, I've quizzed with and against him now again for well over a decade, and the way he's kind of come up the curve is just incredible. There's practically nothing the guy doesn't know, from sports to music to art, literature, sciences, just
workability. He can work out answers.
Yes, absolutely. But there's the one thing that he's an absolute non-pareil at, and that's etymology, right? So you have etym quads, then you know who's winning this.
And he's of course a tier 2 champion. Let's not forget that. He beat a tough competition of Prithvish, Aditya Mubai, and Nikhil Sonde to win that crown. And in the top 2-3 tiers, I mean, being a champion means it's not been easy. It's the ride is not easy to be a champion. Let's move on to, and of course, must give a salute to his commitment, because he'll be playing a few of these weeks of this league from the home of the IPL, UAE. So always salute that commitment and to FLQL.
The less known league called IPL.
Less known league called the IPL. Match 16 coming up. We have Achyut Sanjay, Gokul Nair, Alankar Devta, and Anush Iyer. But Achyut is our seeded player here. But Anush came very close to being one of our seeded players. It just missed out. He had an excellent season this year, although he personally would definitely be disappointed with his results. But he tied with Jayashi Mohanka, beat Naveen Jayakumar. So these are all excellent things for a young quizzer like Anush to achieve. Gokul Nair joins us from Sweden. He ran Tejasvi Udupa very close in a quiz, although that quiz was one of our much, let's just say, millennial sets. But I mean, it's still, Udupa is as much of a millennial in thought and reading as anybody else. So Gokul has, on his day, can give people a run for their money. I think Alankar's from Bhubaneswar, or at least from Odisha. He's a tier champion, tier 14 champion. Some good answers on his day, and sometimes he misses some questions which he himself is disappointed about. So just the perfect attitude of a quizzer, which you like. Rahul, you know about Achyut? I think he's a tier one player from last season.
Not really, Shrestha. He finished in tier 2, although he had a very strong first half. He was actually, I think, in the first year till about the sixth game or so, till he had a couple of bad games here and there. I think Achyut needs to work a little bit on his passing game. I think he had too many wrong bonus attempts last season, which really hurt him. He only had about 2/3 of his bonus attempts, which are actually correct. In terms of topics, no particular strengths or weaknesses, at least based on the first season. So, all to work on, all to play for.
Let's move to match 17. We have Bharat Mankodi, Abdul Rao, Aniket Khasgiwale, and Jun Javier. I think Jun joined us from Taiwan, Taipei. So one of the international quizzers from one of the regions of quizzing, which we as Indians will not be too familiar with. So thank you, Jun, for joining us again. He did really well this season because the India cricket, these things can be tricky for people not sort of from Commonwealth or whatever you want to call it. Aniket Khasgiwale joins from Australia. He depending on what time the game starts, you'll see a different sort of beverage in his hand, which is just the kind of style of quizzing we like. Abdul Rauf, I think, is from CID from Kerala, Arjun.
Yes.
Yeah. And he did phenomenally well in the few matches that I managed to watch him live. And he almost won the match against Santosh. He was leading for majority of the quiz and he fell off towards the end slightly. So pretty strong at cinema and like we witnessed in season 1 across topics.
And Bharat joins us from the West Coast, I think from Gujarat. Probably Vadodara, but might be Ahmedabad, so won't speculate too much there. But Bharat, someone who's been quizzing in the college circuit in Gujarat for a while. He helps organize a lot of quizzes, a lot of interesting quiz properties have come out of Bharat's head. So he's always someone who's very dynamic from a quizzing point of view and also quiz production point of view. Yeah, that's all here. We have Aniket as a seed here, but honestly, anybody can come for second place. And in fact, anybody here can beat Aniket for first as well. Let's move to match 18. We have Mick Logie, Prithvish Datta, Arun TP, and Rishabh Gugoi. So I'll ask Amrit to talk a bit about Rishabh.
He came to Delhi to study, I think, for his graduation. He's a young and upcoming quizzer. Again, like I said, I mean, a little beyond after my time in Guwahati. But from what I've been hearing, he's been very active in the Delhi University quizzing scene as well. I think he did relatively well in the first season. Let's see how he does in the second.
And he's always been an enthusiastic quizzer.
Yeah, he's very enthusiastic about organization as well. Part of the Delhi University, Hindu College quizzing scene as well. So should be good.
Rahul, anything about Prithvish you want to say? I know that he was a tier 2 finalist, and I think he lost to Pat Gibson by 1 point on a game which he says he should have won. So I think he had a bit of brain fades here and there. Maybe solo quizzing is something which he doesn't do a lot of, but he's definitely as a solo quizzer very, very capable of winning the league, for example.
Absolutely right, Shrestha. In fact, he's nicknamed the boss, if I'm not mistaken, and that's for a reason. He's in the top 10 in 2 out of the 8 topics, which is an incredible stat on its own. In addition, everyone who knows him knows that in terms of sports, he's more or less untouchable. So expect him to be in tier 1 this season if he can, get rid of some of those weaknesses and those crunch moments. If he can ace those, I think he can easily come tier 1.
I move to Arjo for Arun TP. DG Mick joins us from Australia, doesn't he? And I think he's part of the syndicate team from the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship. Do you know anything more about him? Or?
Not too much. No.
Okay, but
to Arjo for Arun.
Yeah, I think they they beat the current APQC champs Aardvark. So Mick's part of the team. So it says something.
Let's say something.
Let's say something. Anything about Arun?
Has been a return pioneer of sorts. He gave up the ghost on quizzing for a while, but he has come back with a bang. He's been the trailblazer when it comes to WhatsApp groups and quizzing there. So he's done a huge service to all of us who clearly have been facing the lockdown blues for 1.5 years now.
And I think doing that also to come across with a lot of trivia. I mean, when you're on quizzing a lot in lockdown, because a few of us started late, but I think Arun started quite early in the lockdown to take the time to maybe just get back to quizzing. So he's been consuming a lot of questions, and he's someone who I'm sure will be personally motivated to do better this season. Let's move on to match 19. We have Tanay Padi, Ayush Sharma, Harshit Sahay, and Shovik Guha. Tanay joins us from the US. He's a top student. He's from Brown University. He works now at Google. He was a late entrant to our competition in season 1 because we had a dropout and Tanay joined in. And since then, Tanay has been, even though he started late and he had a few games disadvantage in the leaderboard, he swiftly started climbing up the leaderboard and finished a very respectable position. So I'm sure Tanay would like to repeat that and maybe do better than his good friend Anunay, who I'm sure we'll find out a bit more about. Rahul, a little bit about Shovik Guha.
Shovikda was rightly called one of the best quizzes to have ever lived once upon a time, and there's no reason not to believe that. Although in a league like FundaesLiga, his weaknesses in entertainment can definitely hurt him. One thing, if he can improve vastly in science, which was surprisingly a sort of dry topic for him in season 1, he's going to be way up there without a question.
I think he had some close defeats. I think if he had some close third places, if he converted them to second, he could have maybe won from, I think he finished in tier 2 or 3, but he could have easily been in tier 1.
And top 2 in both culture and history.
And also, I think probably one of the more people with the most quizzing experience. I think he's over 50 years is what his form says. So that's saying something. Anything about Ayush or Harshit, Amrit, DG?
Harshit on entertainment, absolute stunner. It's really, really good.
Okay, I know he's from IIT Bombay.
IIT, correct. So we've seen a little bit of him at PQC. Really, really good with movies, music, all of entertainment.
Ayush, Amrit, Arjun?
Ayush, not much. I mean, I'm sure he's also looking forward to FLQL to kind of grow in experience and stature. Harshit, in fact, has also done some mimic quizzing before FundaesLiga, so he has that experience kind of, you know.
Let's move to match 20. We have here Santosh Swaminathan, Venkatraman Ravindra, Sasidhar Kolamudi, and Varun TD. While you guys churn out some information on the 3 people who are new players this season, let me talk a bit about Santosh Swaminathan. Well, Santosh, on his day, can beat any quizzer in India, let alone the world. His entertainment, food, lifestyle is extremely strong, and by strong I mean it's a notch above the best going around in the business. Very good in TV shows, pop culture, comics, stuff like that. Santosh can easily beat people, and you'll think, or there's a perception that Santosh might have a weakness in India, but then he comes up with these answers which makes people's jaws drop. So Santosh is someone who can beat anyone on his day, and I'm sure he'll be looking to improve on his performance after eventual tier 2 finish from a sort of tier 1 performance. Rahul, am I right about his entertainment strengths?
Absolutely. In terms of entertainment and media, he's nigh untouchable in this league at least. In addition to that, yes, he's been quizzing since 15 years. I've seen him quiz since 15 years, and food is one more area in which he can definitely improve in FLQL at least. It's a known strength, but if he can improve on that in this season, I think he can improve his scoring as well.
What about the others? Do you know a little bit about the others?
Shashidhar tells us that he's a pretty good quizzer from the school and college circuit, but for a certain Pritom Upadhyay, he would have won a lot more in college. Point taken.
And Arjun, Amrit, Venkatraman, Varun?
We don't have much info about Venkatraman Ravindra, unfortunately. But Varun has been quizzing in college, has helped organize college quizzes as well, and so on.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
See, match 21 coming up. We have Ashwin Gopalakrishnan, Shivani Rakesh, Rajiv Rai, and Paul Pugakulam. Don't know much about the others, but I think we'll let DG tell us a little bit more about Rajiv Rai. I mean, not that he needs much introduction. I think he's a Hall of Famer at Big Bombay Quiz Club as well.
Yes, he's actually one of the 2 people, the other being Vikram Joshi, who's a Hall of Famer with the Bombay Quiz Club as well as a Scroll of Honor winner with Calcutta. So he's one of the only 2 people to have done the double. So Rajiv is a true legend, an absolute all-time great of the sport. And I'm told that in addition to his sort of never-ending fount of knowledge, he's now looking up more contemporary stuff like DJs and hip-hop and things like that to kind of repair the slight chinks in his armor.
I think if Amrit remembers correctly, he was one of 2 people, I think, to get that Cardi B question right, Amrit. Was didn't he?
Yes, there you go.
He managed to get a musketeer that I, for one, didn't think he would get. And he got the musketeer of that.
Yeah. Anything about
you can never write him off.
Anything about Ashwin, Shivani, or Paul quickly, Arjun?
Ashwin recently joined AQL, in fact. that was the gateway to quizzing. So we are happy to kind of extend that return through FLQL season 2.
Shivani, not much info I think we have, but I'm sure she'll let her quizzing do the talking. And I think anything about Paul?
Not really.
Not really, no.
Right. So we look to find out more about them. Match 22, we have Sarang Satish, Shishir Maya, Ruru Chaudhary, and Preyoshi Ganguly. Shishir is from Bangalore. Right now he's abroad. He's a school and college quizzer. And of course, thanks Shishir for joining us again this season. Hopefully you have much improved performance. Don't know much about Sarang Satish. He's a new player this season. Ruru Chaudhary is a great in pop culture. Doesn't do a lot of solo quizzing. He's sort of late bloomer into quizzing, I would like to say, because he started quizzing, I think, maybe in college or after college, or at least in a serious manner. So Ruru, I mean, he has a long way to, I mean, he has a long journey ahead also in terms of quizzing. So best of luck to Ruru. And Preyoshi, very strong in literature, very strong in, we learned in dinosaurs and stuff like that. She had a very strong start to the league and just eventually sort of fell little bit by the wayside, not too far by the wayside, but very good performance. I think she might have been, along with Devushri, the top 2 female quizzers this in FLQL season 1 in terms of ranking. Match 23 coming up, we have Urvi Khetan, Rupal Chaudhary, Vyom Vyas, and Nikhil Sonde. Abhinav, Rahul, a little bit about Nikhil.
Nikhil, he is known as a very strong entertainment and media quizzer, but his favorite topic in the first season of FLQL at least was history. So a lot of potential for improvement there. And I mean, we already know that he's the best India quizzer in the World Quizzing Championship in 2021. So, lots of potential to get into tier 1 this time.
What about he probably hasn't given us his best in science yet. I mean, within the BQC, when it comes to science, it's Nikhil and then there's everyone else. So
one of the top teams in Indian quizzing in the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship, I think. Gamandram. So yeah, Vyom joins us from Gujarat. He's also someone who has done a lot of quizzing in college days, and it's the first time he's playing, and we wish him the best of luck. Nupal, very casual quizzer, but very happy to see him return for a second season. I was a bit apprehensive about casual quizzers whether they would return or not, but excellent. And Urvi, I think, is from a Calcutta school. I don't remember which one, and then went to Stephens, then went to Oxford. So at least academically, she knows academics really well. She's also been an enthusiastic quizzer, good in organizing quizzes as well. And we wish her the best of luck this season. We're very happy that we have had more and more female participation. Always excellent stuff going around. So wish all of you best of luck. Move to match 24. We have Dinesh Krithivasan, Adish Ghosh, Ashwin, and Sohaib Naseem. Sohaib is probably a lawyer. He's, I think, from Bangalore based or from Karnataka, and he's had not so great matches, some good matches, and I'm sure it will be his personal journey to improve more and more. Adish is one of our younger quizzers. He's from Delhi, in North India, and he's very good in millennial stuff. He'll surprise you with some answers about stuff which you don't expect young people to get. And anything about Dinesh, Arjun?
Almost a decade and a half of QFI quizzing, regular QFI quizzing, and he did phenomenally in some of the season 1 matches as well. Very strong at highbrow, and he sets lovely quizzes as well. Important.
And he's part of a team in the 3rd division of the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship, but I think that does not do justice to either him or his team's talents in that competition. Ashwin, DG, I'm sure, I mean, all of us know Ashwin Kumar, but a little bit about it before we move on.
Again, very strong quizzer with, I think, pretty much all around science, entertainment, sports in particular, actually seem very good. I think he's moved out of India now.
Yes, he's doing a lot of online quizzing, a lot of Eurocentric quizzing, stuff like that. So he's up, his game is on. Match 25 coming up, we have Sumit Kumar, Ravi Mundoli, Abhijit Sham, and Ajay Krishna Jairam. Ajay and Abhijit both sort of late entrance into season 1. Good to see you guys return for season 2. They've finished in the bottom half of the points table, but that only means that there's one direction they can go. So best of luck to Abhijit and Ajay. Sumit Kumar, very good in video games, I know. He got a lot of video game questions right. He calls himself a lowbrow quizzer, but I'm sure that Sumit has the capacity to do well in other topics as well. Best of luck to Sumit. Rahul, Ravi Mundoli's performances, was a bit underwhelming in season 1, isn't it? Because he's capable of winning the competition on a whole.
Absolutely, he's an excellent quizzer. Unsurprising to anyone, he did very well in history and science, but a real weakness in entertainment hurt him, I felt, in this league. If he can work on that just a little bit, I'm sure he'll get to where he should be, which is in the first team.
Match 26 coming up, a very interesting match. We have Mario Fernando, Kodagata Chatterjee, G. Vinod, and Saransh Mohapatra. Well, Mario is a young quizzer from a sign of 4 team in APQC, which is in the top division of the APQC, and nearly gave us nightmares today where we just eked out a win against them. So very good quizzer, Mario. Very good in entertainment. We learned the hard way that he's very good in opera and music and stuff like that. So good luck to Mario in this competition. He can beat any person on his day, and in fact, he beat Vinu Sanjay in this competition. One of the very few people to beat Vinu Sanjay in this competition. Kodagata Chatterjee, long-time quizzer, one of the earliest quizzers who I personally knew, and very good in biz lifestyle and stuff, but also very good in Indian arts, Indian cinema, world cinema, stuff like that. And sometimes Kodagata needs a bit of motivational push to quiz, because he sometimes, I think, is going away from the quizzing way. But very happy to see Kodagata return for season 2. What about G. Vinod or Saransh Sharma?
Saransh has been quizzing for more than 15 years now with expertise in India, biz, Indian entertainment, and so on. G. Vinod is extremely senior and extremely experienced, close to 40 years of quizzing, active quizzing, and he has won more than 100, 200 quizzes. He sets an annual quiz, a lone wolf quiz, so a lot of experience there. So this one should be a good battle of.
Yeah. You can't predict who's going to come first or who's going to come fourth. Let's move on to match 27. We have Anwar Ghosh, Abhinav Dasgupta, Rishikesh Verma, and Vipul Yadav. Well, Rishikesh is the seeded player here, but I think for his own very high standards that he set, Rishikesh will be disappointed with how season 1 went. Although he did really well. Tier 2 or Tier 3 finish for him. Abhimanyu was a Tier 8 champion, beating Udatta, beating Ritvik Kambil in the final. So he's very good in his sports and business and so on. Vipul, he goes on Twitter with the name Sporty Baba. You might have seen him there. So clearly he'll be very good in sports. I think he'll also be very good in Indian entertainment, 90s to 2000s entertainment maybe. So I'm really excited to have Vipul in this league, because he's outlier quizzer, doesn't quiz much. You have to drag him to quizzes, but very happy to see him quiz here. Anything about Ankur which you know, Arjun?
So Ankur was the Delhi Brainiacs' gentle giant. Recently concluded Pro Quizzing League. Had food and drinks as his topic of interest. So clearly an interest in things lifestyle, but also politics. So nice spread there across the range of highbrow and lowbrow topics. So very exciting prospect, Ankur, along with the entire bunch of Pro Quizzing League players who have joined us.
Let's move on to match 28. We have Krishnamurthy Viswanathan, Vinay Upadhyay, Snehil, and Arun Ramanathan. Because we are going a little slow, we'll move things a little faster. But Amrit, a little bit about Vinay.
I consider him one of the pillars of Assam cuisine, the modern Assam cuisine. He is a very busy doctor working in Shillong, but he still finds out the time to run his 5-question-a-day set, which he puts up on his Facebook group. 5 questions every day. So I would say he's pretty well prepared for season 2, going by his quiz question making.
Rahul, what about Arun?
Arun is a very good India quizzer. Also very strong in certain more obscure topics. I've seen him give answers which literally no one in the audience has any clue about, nor on stage. So he's that kind of quizzer. So expect him to, spring a few surprises here.
Krishnamurthy joined us from the US. I think he had some very excellent performances. He's one of the higher ranked, what we like to call NRI quizzers from season 1. And I think his science is especially strong, some other topics as well. And Snehil is a young quizzer. He's done very well, quite enthusiastic. Some good wins, some defeats to leave him disappointed. So best of luck to everyone. We can't call who's going to win this game. Match 29 coming up. We have Pranjal Agarwal, Valentin Bibikov, Abhinav Kishore, and Shivan Mathur. Don't know much about Valentin, but I do know that he takes part in the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship, and he adds another country to our FLQL list because he joins us from Russia. So best of luck to Valentin in this competition. Hope you have fun. Pranjal is a very all-round quizzer. He has no real sort of weaknesses. He's part of teams which qualify for the KQA quizzes quite often, so he's quite all round. He can beat people on his day. Abhinav Kishore is based out of Berlin, I think. Originally from Delhi, very good in, I think, stuff like history and geography and arts and culture. That's probably a strength. And Shivan's playing us for the first time. Don't know much about Shivan. Yeah, so we'll move on to match 30. Here's Arnab Sengupta, Veeraraghavan Narasimhan, Devashri Mithran, Atul Kumar. Abhinav, is Arnab from Maharashtra?
Yes, Pune again. Sanero, Anil Kumar and Arnab used to be a team from AFMC. Very, very strong. Some of the best student quizzes I've met. So should be good competition for Devashri.
And Atul, I think he's a civil servant. He's semi-casual quizzer. Very good to see Atul take some time out of participating this season as well. Veeraraghavan, we don't know much about. If Arjun can tell us a bit, that's awesome. Not much. Rahul, Devashri has some good stats going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. A formidable quizzer with no real weaknesses except perhaps sports. Did incredibly well in media in the first season. Expect her to do equally well or even better this.
She got a musket in video games as well.
Yes. Yes, that was one of those nuclear stats which baffled all of us.
No, we just underestimate Devashri. Match 31 coming up. Krishnan KN, Tanmay Prusti, Shafiq S, and Harish Mupur. Harish is our seeded player here. He's in the US as well. Stand-up performance was losing to Pat Gibson by just 1 point, but apart from that, he's very strong in the sciences, arts and culture, and so on. He always surprises you with answers which you don't expect to come, but they just come in the last second. Shafiq, I think, joins us from Kerala, Arjun.
Yeah.
DG, anything about Tanmay?
Yeah, Tanmay, very, very good quizzer, particularly with business and entertainment as well. Tanmay and Preyashi have been this sort of leading quizzing couple, so good to see both of them back for season 2.
But I do know one quizzing couple that is trying to give them a hadda-haddi lodai from the quizzing couple of Indian they are quizzing. But we'll save that.
Yeah.
Krishnan is also someone who has been sort of in the lower tiers, but it's all about coming back for season 2 to test yourself again to see where you can land up, and really appreciate Krishnan coming back, and best of. Match 32, we have 3 young people and 1 very experienced quizzer, Akshay Johnson from IIT Delhi, young Chennai boy who's now in IIT Delhi. He won one of the lower tiers, but I'm sure Akshay will be aching to improve because he's in his prime of quizzing. Shojo Sengupta, Arjo, you'll agree with me probably that he probably could have beaten many big guns if he just had his recall ability a little better, didn't he?
Yeah. But having been through the paces in season 1 would have primed him better, I'm guessing, for season 2. Try to avoid those mistakes again. Yeah.
Rishabh Diwan also didn't know much about him before season 1, but he's been very enthusiastic about the league, and he's some decent wins, some disappointed losses. I'm sure he'll be looking to go higher up the table. Yogesh Pai, Yopai, Abhinav, a little bit about him.
Yeah, again, absolute veteran. In fact, the other very nice thing is he's also a sort of lifelong student of the game. So he's written quite a bit about quizzing, and that's something that we look forward to. So yeah, that's a lot of firepower in this match.
Joined us for season 2 for the first time. So best of luck to everyone. In this game, we have Shojo, who is the seed, probably one of the younger seeded players through this through game week 1. Match 33, Ashwath Venkataraman, Ananya Bhaskar, Supratim Sengupta, Anunay Kulshrestha. I was telling you, Anunay's quiz teammate, friend, what do you want to call it? Anunay, I think he'll be disappointed with this season 1 performance because he was a very ace school quizzer, and I'm sure he'll be aching to do well in season 2. Supratim joins us for the first time. He's from Delhi/Noida, but now he lives in Singapore. He's an architect by profession, and he I do know he's a fitness freak. I don't know much about his quizzing credentials, but I know that he is very good all-round quizzer. Arjun?
I remember him cycling from Noida early morning to attend a quiz session in Gurgaon.
I remember that very well.
About his commitment to fitness, maybe not so much to quizzing, but this will be a new experience for him actually, not having to cycle for a, you never know, he might be on a peloton while doing the quiz.
That sounds like him, all right.
Anya, I think, is originally from Hyderabad. Maybe she studied in Hyderabad. She's a very good general quizzer, one of our top-rated female quizzers right now, at least on the young crop. So best of luck to Ananya. I hope you do really well. And Ashwath, Arjo, you know a little bit about it.
Yeah, part of the a team that almost inevitably qualifies for most open gen quizzes that happen around fluorescent adolescent. So Cody, as fondly referred to as, did phenomenally in season 1 as well. So I'm sure he's regretting a few misses here and there and a few recall lapses here and there. But season 2, I'm looking forward to Cody's performance actually.
Match 34, Anand Nambiar, Anand Rao, Alind Chandra, and Vineet Sasidharan. Well, Alind is our high roller from Las Vegas. He joined us from Las Vegas. They didn't know much about him before season 1, but very enthusiastic, and he's definitely showed that he's here to stay in terms of going up the ranks. Same with Anand Rao. They fall in the same category in terms of results as well as motivation. I don't know much about Anand Nambiar. Do any of you? Well, I guess we'll know more about Anand as we move along. Anand Nambiar in the competition. Vineet is part of the same team, Arjo, as
Anush, Nirmal, Dinesh. Vineet in particular, very strong at lit art. He does, he sets fantastic quizzes as well. Very strong at highbrow, but surprisingly good at recent pop culture as well.
If I'm not mistaken, he won a very close game between Ramesh Athreya, Vinu Sanjay, Dr. Bhatta. I mean, it's a bit foggy, but he can beat people on his day, and that's the sort of player he is. Match 35 coming up. We have Aman Roy, Balaji Srinivasan, Shayak Chatterjee, and Paul Sinha. Abhinav, you know a little bit about Shayak, don't you?
Yeah. Shayak comes from one of the preeminent quizzing families, and it's no wonder that he is as good as the next one. Young guy, 20 years old, and I think he had a podium a few years back in the junior WQC. So he's totally kind of keeping up to the sort of legacy that he's been in.
Yeah. Anything about Aman, Arjo?
Discovered in season 2.
Yep, we will. Balaji, I think, joins from the US. I think he's a fairly serious quizzer from what I understand. He takes part in a lot of these OQL leagues and just quizzing in the US. So I'm sure Balaji will set the stage on fire and be sort of people who will surprise a lot of people who haven't heard of him before, at least in the Indian quiz circuit. And Paul Sinha, of course, everyone knows that the chaser in the UK quiz show, The Chase, but also he gives some very tough answers. He can pull out. He's very strong in entertainment for sure. And I think he missed a game, which is due to his commitments, and that's why he came third in tier 3 last season, but he was all set to be in tier 1. So I'm sure Paul will be looking to do better, and he's a sort of person who desires to win competition. So I'm sure he'll be looking to win the competition as well. Match 36 coming up, we have Arijit Mondal, Raghav Talwar, Keshav Athreya, and Aaron Mohan. Rahul, a little bit about anyone?
So this is actually a very evenly matched game. No one really stands out in terms of their performance from last season. But Aaron is the seeded player here. He did especially well in Lifestyle last season. As we all know, he's also part of the Australian syndicate team, which regularly does very well at APQC and things like that. So you can't really discount him as favorite. Keshav, also a very strong quizzer, as we know very well. Expect a very close battle between these two.
Arjun, a bit about the other two people before we quickly move on.
Raghav, very strong at science, biz, social sciences in particular. He did his master's in eco from the LSE, so a lot there. Arijit, young quizzer, played PQL, and so on. So this looks like the closest we have come to a genuine group of death in the lineup so far. It's a very evenly matched lineup.
One to watch for sure. Match 37 coming up. Francis Rodriguez, Adi Subramaniam, Srijan Kumar, and Chandrakant Nair. Well, I mean, the less we say about Chandrakant, the better. He'll definitely be disappointed about his season result. I know he is disappointed because he is someone who can definitely be up there with the best, and I'm sure he'll be motivated to do very well this season. Francis Rodriguez is from Mumbai. I'm sure DG knows more about him, but I've had an opportunity to chat with him a little bit this season, and he was sort of outside Bombay's typecast as just a biz quizzer, but he has shown that his strengths lie beyond that. He's very good in general stuff as well. Srijan Kumar, he was in the lower tiers, but that's what I love to see, people in the lower tiers turn up again for season 2 to see whether they can do better. So good luck, Srijan. And Adi's our new player. Amrit, you know anything about Adi?
No, not really. Probably a new
not
participant. So best of luck to him.
Yep, best of luck. Match 38 coming up. Kushan Patel, Divya Haldar, Raghuveer Mukkamalla, and Kaustubh Gupta. This is actually as close as that game we were talking about with Keshav and Aaron and so on. Divya joins us from Singapore. I think he quizzes fairly seriously in Singapore, and he's into the quiz mix because I think he's writing some questions for the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship as well. So he has surprised people who don't know him from the Indian quiz circuit with his answers and with his performances, and I'm sure they will do much better. Kushan Patel went in as the least favorite in the tier quarterfinal or semi-final and ended up beating the likes of Naveen Rajaram, Venki Srinivasan, and somebody else in a very tough game. So Kushan can beat people on his day. He's very good in pop culture, media, art, architecture, style, stuff like that. Kaustubh, Arjun, you know him very well.
Yeah, I've been quizzing against Kaustubh since school, all through college, and now open quizzing. Extremely strong at mythology when he used to quiz in school and college, but has since expanded his horizons into food, drinks, travel significantly. So
Rahul Raghuvi is one of our NRI quizzers, Jeopardy quizzers, who's done extremely well in season 1, right?
Extremely well, and with the potential to do even better because, like you said, he's a Jeopardy quizzer. He knows he has a very well-rounded knowledge of different things. He was in the top 10 in history and lifestyle, but we know from his incredible performance in that one tier knockout that he has other interests as well. So expect him to do much better for sure.
This is a good game. Match 39 coming up. Ishani S, Sarthak Gupta, Shashwat Salgaonkar, and Sukrut Nilatla. Sukrut was a top quizzer from IIT Chennai. IIT Madras. Apology to all the IIT lovers. But he would be disappointed with his performance from this season, and I know that for sure, and he'll be looking to improve. So good luck to Sukrut in that. Sarthak Gupta, young quizzer, reached one of the sort of a lower tier finals. He's looking to reach a higher tier final this season for sure. Shashwat Salgaonkar, Rahul, if you are correct or wrong, he was leading the competition or top 3 for like the first 3-4 weeks, was it?
Yeah, for the first few weeks, he was in fact looking very strong for a tier 1, but I think some weaknesses in lifestyle and media probably brought him down, but expect him to do really well this time if results, go his way, especially the crunch matches.
He beat Anushka Datta in one game, which is definitely not an easy thing for someone of Shashwat's young age and Anushka's deep experience in quizzing. Ishani, I think, is a friend of Shumantro's on the late sign-ups, and we wish you best of luck, Ishani, in this competition. We don't know much about you. We'd love to know more as a competition.
She's been quite regular in online quizzing over the last month or so should be very, very good.
That's all. Match 40 coming up. Gautam Ghosh, Vedvyas Datta, Zachary Foster, and Kunal Roy. Kunal Roy, I've quizzed with him a lot in college days, and he's someone again who can surprise you with his great answers. He's a young guy, but he can answer stuff which 1800s, 1900s, whatever you like to call it. Very good at art, entertainment, and so on, and very good in etymology as well. Kunal, I know personally, has been very disappointed with some brain fades in some crucial moments, which cost him a win or two. If he pulled those off, he would have been in much higher tiers in this competition. He, by the way, is our seeded player for this match. Vedvyas Datta, I think, Rahul, the best film quizzer or media quizzer last season?
Definitely one of the best. In fact, this match is going to be interesting because two of the best media quizzes are in this quiz. Kunal and Vedvyas both finished in the top 10 in media. So it's going to be an interesting game in that regard at least. But if Kunal can work on his other topics similar to the way he's worked on media, I think he can do better.
Gautam Ghosh, I think the most experienced quizzer in this competition, DG.
Yes, absolutely. He's like this father figure in Calcutta, decades and decades of experience. And I mean, the amount of recall he has even today is just phenomenal. He's an absolute delight to watch.
And
so
this actually, Amrit Arjun?
not really.
Nothing?
I mean, he says he has extensive quizzing experience.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure he'll pull his weight there.
It's very. We are very lucky to have someone like Zachary playing this competition. To be honest, someone who's looking to expand their boundaries of quizzing, because we have a bit of Indian quizzing, a little bit Asia stuff. So we actually wish everyone the best of luck, but more so to Zachary. Hope you enjoy the competition. Match 41 coming up. We have Arjun Siva, Shankha Ghosh Dasidar, KC Sachin, and Tejasvi Urupa. Arjun Siva, don't know much about him. Some ups and downs for him in season 1. Hopefully he does better in season 2. Shankha Ghosh Dasidar has been quizzing a lot, He's been quizzing a lot in college. He's in the prime years of his quizzing, but I think he had a few brain fades last season as well. And so he finished a few positions lower than what he would have liked. And I'm sure he's been one of our most prolific leaders. So thank you, Shankar, for your support. Much appreciated. Best of luck this season. Sachin joins us from somewhere in Africa, undisclosed location, because I won't tell for some other reasons. But he joined us from Somalia last season, and that's also one more country added to our thing. Very good quizzer from his college days from Ashoka University, if I'm not mistaken. Because of his work, he's not been quizzing much in India or so on, but it was good to see him play last season. Amrit, a little bit about Tejasvi.
I think Udupa underperformed last season, going by my personal ratings anyway. But he's a very good general quizzer. But I mean, he has been run close in a number of matches. He saw a few losses in the middle. He had an up and down season. But again, like we talked about Santosh, his pop culture quotient is extremely high. His history quotient is extremely high. He's an extremely good India quizzer as well. So I mean, he deserves to be in the tier 1 rankings for season 2.
Definitely a tier 1 contender, yeah.
Yeah, on paper at least.
Yep. Good luck to everyone. Match 42. Praveen VR, Jay Pillai, Siddharth Casey, and Ramesh R. Natarajan. I think Ramesh is a very good sports and quiz quizzer, but that will not do justice to his other strengths. He's very good all-round quizzer as well. Just the sports and quiz stands out. Praveen VR, we know, is very good in history, very good in geography and the arts. And I mean, you can't box Praveen into one category, which is what is very good about him. Jay Pillai and Siddharth are new players. If you can just tell us a little about them, Arjun.
So Siddharth has, much like Arun TP earlier, been of huge service to quizzing. He has been conducting quizzes over Zoom for his friends and expanding the circle and so on. Unfortunately, we don't have much information on Jay, but hope to discover more season 2.
Match 43, we have Sean Webb, Kanishka Chakraborty, Jim Mudrak, and Avinash Mishra. Sean was our tier 3 champion. He beat Debushri, beat Raghuvi, beat Paul Sinha. So, and he's younger than all 3 of them. So he's someone who will only improve. Only one direction he can go, and he was for a long time the table 1 topper, the tier 1 topper before he sort of fell by the wayside a little bit. Rahul, you have some numbers about him, while Arjo tells us a little bit about Jim and Avinash.
Yeah, so Sean is definitely one of the closest things we have to a prodigy in this league, considering his age and everything. We know that he has his strengths in culture and world and history, but he did especially well in media in the last season. So lots of potential there.
Arjo, about Jim.
Very extensive international quizzing experience, mimirs well, OQL regularly takes part and does well in the WQC. So it's nice to have that international sort of influx into FundaesLiga this year.
And good to see Kanishka again. Fairly casual quizzer, but good to see him enjoy the first season and turn up in season 2 as well. He can also surprise you with some great answers on his day. Match 44 coming up. We have Arun Hiregange, Akshat Jain, Sudeep Pai, and Rama Subramanian. Rama, we were college quizzing contemporaries. I think he's not been quizzing a lot, but it's good to see him take the plunge for season 2, and we wish you the best, Rama. Arun, what's there to say? I think Rahul, you can tell us a bit about Arun while DG tells us a bit about Sudeep.
Yeah, he's been quizzing forever in KQS circles, been conducting Sons of Lumiere quite admirably for years. He had a very good start the first season, where he in fact won 3 out of 3, but then fell a little bit by the wayside because of some small weaknesses in history and world. So don't discount him. I think he's a very good quizzer.
Aksha Johnson, the US. I think he will be disappointed with his own results. Slightly easier sets. He has beaten some really good quizzers, and I think the sets become a little tougher. Few struggling points, but I'm sure Akshat will prove us all wrong this season by doing really well. Sudhir, you know him, DG?
Yeah, Sudeep Pai, close friend from the Bombay Quiz Club. A lot of experience with K Circle when he was in Hyderabad and then with BQC. Sets exceptional questions. I think he is among the top 5 quizmasters in BQC today. Very, very good with travel, history, geography, sports. He joins us for the first time this season, so it should be fun.
Match 45, we have Ramesh Knox Natarajan. We have 2 Ramesh Natarajan, Ananya Dev, Akash Roy, and Padmashri Ramabhadran. Well, Padmashri is, I don't think she used to be a very serious quizzer, but she has taken the plunge to see what quizzing can be in the online times. I think she quizzed long back and she's now quizzing again. Hope to see
I can tell you though, she's been a regular Bombay Quiz Club subscriber for the last 10 years. So she's been in touch.
Yeah, she's been in touch. Is always important and good. And I'm very glad that she turned up for season 2, because I just thought maybe she had enough. But very good to see Padmashri back, and best of luck to you. Akash Roy is a doctor, a great servant to our at these times, the COVID era. So thank you, Akash, for taking time out to take part in season 2 as well. I think Akash himself will be a bit disappointed with his sort of results from season 2. Maybe he hasn't been in much touch from quizzing because of COVID. Maybe other stuff has gotten in the way, but in offline quizzing, Akash is really good. And the opposite happens in people. Not so good in offline, very good in online. But for Akash, it's been the opposite. So I'm sure Akash is looking to do much better this season. Natarajan has said that he'd be happy to do Mimir style quizzing all his life. He's not a very serious quizzer, but he has been having a blast this season. And we wish Ramesh, he's a very experienced gentleman. I wish him best of luck. DG, you know a lot about Ananya.
Yeah, Ananya Dev, again, one of the true greats from BQC, phenomenal when it comes to entertainment, the arts, cinema, travel for that matter, and he's incredibly prolific when it comes to setting quizzes. So
his recall ability got in the way for him to get some more this season, if I remember correctly. Match 46, we have Manav Kapoor, Shamsuddin Haider, Anirudh Patil, Niyam Joshi. Niyam's from Bangalore, has quizzed prolifically in college. He'll be looking to improve his rankings for sure. Anirudh has not quizzed much since his college days. Didn't quiz much in college either, just a quiz here and there when I was quiz master. So that's always good to know. So best of luck to Anirudh for this season. Shamsuddin joins us from Kolkata, I think. And good luck, Shamsuddin. He's from part of those young crop of Kolkata quizzers who are setting the stage on fire. And Manav Kapoor, I think, was second in history in terms of scores. So he's always someone who's going to be very strong in Indian history, Indian culture, and other topics, of course. So best of luck to everyone. Match 47, we have Kartikeya Chadda, Apratim Belur Upadhyay, Aditya Gadre, and Gitanjali Nair. Gitanjali did very well. Again, she had to face some tough opponents because some of those good players were not doing so well, and so that's why they sort of got team paired up early. And so Gitanjali had some tough draws, but I think she has shined and done very well through the season, and we wish her the best for season 2. Apratim Mukhopadhyay, one of two Apratim Mukhopadhyay is playing in this league. He's from Calcutta, or maybe he's from Belur. That's what his nickname is. But that aside, very good in sports, very good in literature, very good in art, good general quizzer. So best of luck to Apratim. Kartikeya will be disappointed with his sort of low rank from season 1, but there's only one way to go up. And Rahul, a little bit about Aditya.
Aditya is a very strong sports and media quizzer, although in terms of his performance in the first season, he did surprisingly poorly in sports compared to media. Media, he was in the top 10, but sports, he was far from where he should be, considering that he's considered one of the top sports quizzers in the country. So some potential for improvement there.
Interesting insight, Rahul. Thank you for that. Match 48 coming up. We have James Carr, Gigi George, Ruturaj Kulkarni, and Devanjan Mahapatra. Amrit, a little bit about anyone?
I saw Gigi play season 1, and I had heard
he beat Rajiv Rai in a game as well.
Yeah, he beat Rajiv Rai. He's one of those people whose base of knowledge is very strong, just wasn't quizzing. He's come back to quizzing and has managed to make that transition from...
Absolutely right. He was in one of the earliest seasons of Mastermind, then stopped quizzing for other reasons.
Exactly. And now he looks like a person who stopped quizzing and then came back.
Yeah, Ruturaj actually the doctor. So thank you for your service, Ruturaj, in these tough times. He had to quit midway because his work as a doctor was getting in the way of quizzing, but very happy to see you take part in season 2 as well. Devanjan, very good in what we Bengalis like to call as Atel stuff, art, culture, literature of a very highbrow nature, very, those nature, that style. Welcome to the league, Devanjan. Best of luck to you. And James is a quizzer by himself, by the way, from the west coast of the US, but he also happens to be the brother-in-law of an Indian quizzer. Won't tell you who. So thanks, James, for joining, and hope you beat your brother-in-law in this competition. We move to match 49. We have Abhimanyu Bharade, Kunal Malhotra, Ayush Avasthi, and Raghav Singh Bhadoria. I told you that there's a second Singh Bhadoria turning up, and this is Raghav. Best of luck, Raghav. We don't know much about you, but I wish you the best. Ayush, very good in business. Did not know him as a general quizzer, but he has answered a lot of stuff from a general bandwidth. So good luck to Ayush as well. DG, you know Kunal from your very young days.
from my very young and his very young days as well. So yeah, good friend and fellow quizzer over the last 2 decades, and extremely good with sports, with business, with entertainment. I don't recall him being there in season 1. Was he? Okay.
No, he wasn't.
All right. So he joins us here for the first time, and Kunal is all set to set the stage on fire, I'm sure.
He can be someone who is the season topper in sports. Kunal has that capability and potential, to be honest. He's very good in American sports as well. That will help, perhaps. Arjun, a little bit about Abhimanyu.
Very strong quizzer, IIT Kharagpur, interests across India and sports and so on.
I don't think India, but everything else is correct.
Because he surprises you with his India answers at times. That's a weird thing about this.
Yeah, he's a seeded.
Even Santosh in India.
He's a seeded player in this game, so that's not to everyone. Match 50, Manoj Saranathan, Prasann Poddar, Adil Jacob, Piyush Kedia. This is a mouth-watering game because everybody has very different strengths. I think Prasann ran one of the very early games, one of the good quizzers. I think he just lost in the game, which was like 15-15, 15-16 was the score, where I think he could have beaten Vinu Sanjay if he got one answer here and there. He's from, I think, the UAE currently. Manoj joins from the US, extremely good in biology, chemistry, because I think he might be a researcher or doctor from those parts. Adil Jacob, very good in pop culture. I'm sure Arjun knows a bit about him. I mean, I do too. So yeah, he's very good in pop culture, and he will surprise you with his answers. Younger brother of Rabbit Jacob, unfortunately, has not participated this season. And Piyush Kedia, he was in the top few tiers for the first few weeks, but tough games, some poor performances saw him drop down way below his potential. I think tier 9 or 8, Rahul.
Yeah, if I recollect, yeah, that's where he eventually ended up. Although he could have done much better.
Yep. Best of luck to everyone. This game is too close to call, so we move to match 51. We have Mukilan. I was telling you about Kavin earlier. Mukilan probably is a sibling. I mean, if you're not, I apologize, but I think you guys are. If Nicholas Pang's reports are to be believed from APQC. Arnold D'Souza joins us for the first time. He's good in both highbrow and lowbrow. As in season 1, he was asking what it means. Anand Shivshankar, deeply experienced, and Atul Matthew. I'll let DG take the stage here because I think you know 3 out of 4 players.
Yeah, some long-time collaborators on quizzing. In fact, Anand and Atul, it's interesting to put them together. Both of them used to live in Powai and Mumbai, very close to each other. And interestingly, the 2 of them together hosted the sports quiz at the first Mumbai Quiz Festival. Right, Anand and Atul together. So this is like a nice kind of things coming back full circle. So
if I remember,
absolutely mouth-watering.
Anand sort of introduced mimic quizzing in a way like in 2007. I remember.
This is true. Yes.
I've heard a story that decided to run a finals of a quiz where the passing order would depend on the score of the teams and not in the seating order. So he made mimic style quizzing before it got cool. So. Arnold, I think, does not quiz so much offline, but I think he should.
No, he does. He does. In fact, when he was in Pune, he used to quiz quite a bit. I think he's sort of shifted base to Goa for a while now. That's where he is. But yeah, incredibly good. I mean, and you're right, highbrow and lowbrow both.
Yes, indeed. Match 50. Yeah, tell me.
No, particularly chess and cricket.
Cricket, yes. Match 52 coming up. Arpita Shetty, Adarsh Mohapatra, Eklavya Sinha, Aritra Chatterjee. So I think Adarsh is our youngest seeded player. Did very well in this competition, and he has a potential to be one of the great quizzes of India in like 5, 6, 10 years. He's very dedicated.
Absolutely, hands down. So again, he was with us in the Mumbai team. I remember picking him up.
What happened to your auction? You would win with him in your team.
Yeah, and what a guy! I mean, sciences, nature and wildlife, mythology. Absolute prodigy. So I agree with you. One of the true greats in the making.
What Arpita from Amrit and Arjun?
She used to be a regular earlier, but of late she turns up for the occasional KQA or BQC event.
That's good. And it's good to see her sort of get into the mold again. Eklavya, very good from what I understand in Indian entertainment. He's been designing for a lot of Bolly stuff to come, which we haven't delivered yet. So Eklavya, maybe it is season 2 is the time for you. And if it doesn't turn up in season 2, maybe it will tempt you to sign up for season 3 as well. Aritra, I think, very close friend of Arjo's. Casual quizzer, runs a quizzing podcast, but I think he's enjoying doing quizzing because he's otherwise not too much exposed to offline quizzing otherwise when he's not Arjo's flatmate. So yeah, best of luck to everyone. Move on to match 53. Abhijit Anand, Varun Parthasarathy, Siddhant Agarwal, Ranajit Soman. Varun, for sure, is a sports fanatic, but I'm sure his interest in other topics as well. I'm sure we'll see that in this season. Don't know much about him quizzically, but I have had a lot of sporting discussions with him over the years. Abhijit Anand, didn't know much about him before season 1, but consistently he did decent. I'm sure he's got that sort of the tiger's taste of blood, and he'd want to improve more this season. Siddhant Agarwal will probably be disappointed with his own performances, to be honest. He has potential to be a very good quizzer, very good workout ability. He's based out of Chicago, but just I think he lacked that killer instinct in this season. He lost some games which he should have won and could have won. And I think Ranajit Soman, Arjun, he did very well, didn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He did very well.
Very well in sports, very well in pop culture, entertainment. Especially in the first half of the season, he was rocking the entertainment, sports, that media angle.
And football, he's one of the best. He sets one of the best football-based sports quizzes I've ever seen. He sets that quiz every year. Very nice quiz.
He's also affectionately called BFQI, which is Best Football Quizzer in India.
Yeah.
So let's move on to match 54. We have Arun Prasad, Nicholas Pank, Nirmalya Biswas, Sumukh Kheldekar. Nirmalya actually is our seeded game player here, and it's hard to call who's the favorite in this match because everybody has diverse interests. Sumukh was in the lower tiers, but I know for a fact that he would desire to do much better. So best of luck to Sumukh for that. Nirmalya surprised a lot of the opponents who did not sort of know of his quiz threads before they sort of faced him, and Nirmalya toppled them quite comfortably. So he'll be a dark horse also in one of the middle tiers. Nicholas Pang, what do we say? He started a quizzing revolution in Asia by running the Asian Pacific Quiz Championship. That also means he writes a lot of questions, and so that therefore he's always in the thick of things. He lost to Pat Gibson by 1 point in the match as well. So he can throw up a few surprises. Obviously, India is a weakness of his, but if he has enough in his brain to overcome that thing. Arun Prasad Arjo is a fairly experienced quizzer from Bangalore, if I'm not mistaken.
More than 1.5 decades of experience now, QFI, KQA, and so on. So this will be a pretty close match.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah.
Yep. Match 55, Subramanian, Balakrishna, Jaydev Karunakaran, Julius Caesar Dizon, and Sukanya Bhattacharya. Jaydev, now he's back in India, but he used to work in Maldives, so one of the most exotic places to be and one of the most popular places during the COVID time. But he wasn't there, he was in India. I think many people in India have not heard of Jaydev because he hasn't been in India for a long time, but he gives excellent answers through the season. Definitely a little bit more in touch with quizzing, and Jaydev can, no ceiling is high enough for him. He can do really well. Julius joins us from
Philippines.
Yes, he joins.
Same team as Vicencio.
Same team as Vicencio. So good luck to Julius as well. Subramaniam, I think the college contemporary has not been quizzing much, but here he is now to change that. Good luck. And a bit about Sukanya Arjo, do you know her?
So she has been quizzing since her undergrad years in college and been to a few open quizzes as well. Pretty young for a quizzer, potentially pro quizzing league, under 25 and so on. She's 22. So hope you have a good time here, Sukanya.
It is your oyster. Match 56 coming up. Saurabh Sharma, Somabrato Chakraborty, Alok Prasanna Kumar, and Dhruv Sharma. Dhruv is very strong in science. He's very strong in he's become very strong in history and stuff like that over the years. Alok Prasanna Kumar, he's a lawyer, so he's very good in history, very good in Indian history, Indian geography, and of course stuff like entertainment and stuff. Alok is very good. Saurabh Sharma, as Arjun knows, he's a Twitter friend of mine who doesn't quiz much, but sort of just stumbled into quizzing season 1. So very happy to see Saurabh in season 2. We can only improve from here. And do we know anything about Somabrato? Playing for the first time.
We did see him in BQL, yes. Should be a good prospect here.
That's good. So Alok is the seed in this match. Match 57, Kishore Rajendra, Amit Dey, Ayush Patni, and Vinay Sridhar. Amit Dey is, I think, originally from Calcutta or West Bengal, but now he lives in the UK and he's been sort of tearing the UK circuit apart. In the team quizzes, he sits on the top teams. In solo quizzes and mimic competitions, he does extremely well. Played a game against him in a competition. He trashed me to bits. So he's someone who could have been a seeded player, but just missed out because we have so many players playing in this competition. And I wouldn't be surprised if he wins this match, although Kishore from Bangalore is the seeded player. Anything about Vinay or Ayush?
Harish Patni, again, we've seen at PQL, good established college quizzer, and yeah, should be strong competition.
Vinay has been quizzing through school and college, so quite a lot of experience on the table in this game.
It's been an interesting game. Match 58, Vivek Karthikeyan of Kiwi, Siddhant Rao, Vikram Shah, and Shubhankar Gokhale. Siddhant, I think, lives in Europe somewhere, but he's quizzing in Chennai. College days, wrote a lot of quiz questions in his college days. So Siddhant is always someone who's into quizzing like heavily. Vikram hasn't been quizzing much generally, but he did very well in some games in FLQL season 1. So he's a sort of a package who people would not know much about when they turn up at the quiz, but he can surprise you. Shubhankar Gokhale, I think he did well, but I think he has the potential to much better. Isn't it easy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And with Shubhankar for a decade and a half now, regular teammate. You can't beat him when it comes to anything that moves on wheels, right? When it comes to vehicles, two-wheelers and stuff like that, he's an absolute genius. And if you remember that match, Anushtup, Shashwat and Shubhankar, what a close game that was last season.
Yes,
so yeah, I'm really looking forward to see more of him.
Rahul, you must be knowing Kiwi quite well from your Bangalore Bottlegi days.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what the Bottlegi phase here, but he's a very good quizzer. Definitely deserves to be one of the seeds if he was playing in season 1. But this game could be very close between Shubhankar and Kiwi, no doubt.
Art is his strength, isn't it?
Yeah.
Art is a big strength of his. He's also quite good at science, if I'm not mistaken. Although in the last few years, he could have improved in other areas as well.
And he also, I think, used to or still works with a quizzing company. So he always into questions and facts. And
exactly.
So you can't ever take him out of the table. Match 59, we have Fahad in the Sat, Snehanshu Gupta, Samrat Sengupta, and Venki Srinivasan. I'll tell you a bit about Venki. DG will tell you a bit about Samrat, and Arjun can tell us a bit about the rest. So Venki is also runs a quizzing company. So he's always into questions and answers, always into facts. He's very good at working out answers, very good at sports, entertainment, is very good overall quizzer, general quizzer. He will be disappointed with his season 1 performances. He had some very close defeats and some games where luck wasn't in his favor for a variety of reasons. So Venki will be definitely ready to do better than what he did in season 1. So best of luck to you, Venki. Abhinav, about Samrat?
Samrat Sengupta, Sammy Sir, as we affectionately call him, wonderful guy to be around, very nice, and absolute whiz when it comes to sports. In fact, a few years back in Pune, they have this thing called the BC Cup, right? And on the 10th anniversary, they did a BC of BCs kind of contest with all the past BC Cup winners competing, and Samrat actually won that. Right?
So Virat Kohli inspired BC, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, it actually stands for Boat Club, which is where quizzers meet. But yeah, he is a BC of BCs.
And what about Fahad and Snehanshu Arjun?
So Snehanshu, very experienced sports quizzer. So Samrat is in for a run for his money on this one. And Fahad, we don't have much information about. If you know anything, Sreshth?
No, man, I don't, unfortunately. So that's why I asked you. So I'll move on to the next. I'm sure Fahad will tell us more about himself. We'll sure chat as the game's go on. Match 60 coming up. Mudit Bhardwaj, Hari Parmeswaran, Utkarsh Rastogi, Sampath Patnaik. Sampath was our tier 15 champion. I think from Odisha, he'd be disappointed with his own performance. Although he was a champion at tier 15, he'd want to move upwards. Mudit joining us after a long hiatus of quizzing, but he used to quiz in college in Delhi. So good luck to Mudit. Utkarsh, anything, Arjun?
Moderate experience, so we are hoping FLQL serves as his platform for it.
I think Hari doesn't need much people know Hari because of his quizzing credentials. He's very good in science, I think very good in popular
very good in literature.
Literature, yes.
I would say very strong in literature and media. If you can back that up, I think it can be a little bit better this season.
Yeah, I mean, Hari is someone, he had some tight games. I think even a lot of third positions. On another day, they could have been second position, then he could have been, say, 30, 40, 50 places higher in the points table. Match 61, Aditya Sen, Somashish Ghosh, Deepti Kulkarni, and Utkarsh Singh. Arjun, I'm sure Aditya has a very long quizzing experience. If you can just dig that out for me, that would be appreciated. Somashish is very strong in architecture, science, just cultural stuff. Somashish is very good in highbrow mythology, medieval history, a lot of stuff like that. Somashish is really good at. So he's our seeded player in this match. Deepti, I think she's from Maharashtra, doesn't do a lot of quizzing. She did feel that she was a bit overwhelmed by the competition early on, but then she found a level towards the end and she reached a tier final as well. So that's deeply for you. Yes, Aditya.
So Aditya has had a very rich school and college quizzing experience. Following up his Bournvita quiz glories and so on, he recently, in the last couple of years, he took a sabbatical from quizzing, but just before his sabbatical, he won the SBI Numero Yono quiz. So FLQL serves as his return to quizzing like a lot of the other people playing. So we are very happy to hear that, Aditya.
He played season 1.
And once again, he was in the Mumbai team for PQL and wonderful quizzer again. We actually gave him 3 matches.
Very young, very.
And he performed phenomenally well.
We don't know much about
really happy to see him.
but we will learn more as we move on. Match 62, we have Siddharth, Shaunak Chakraborty, Shrikant Reddy, and Rajan Thambe. Rajan joins us from Switzerland, maybe Zurich, maybe Geneva, but he runs a pub quiz there, so he's into quizzing a lot. He has a quiz page called Quiz Area. If you like it, you can subscribe to it. So he's into question writing, question solving, always with quizzing. On his day, he can beat a lot of top quizzers. He will surprise you with his Eurocentric answers, his sports answers, his mythology answers. So Rajan is a X factor. I mean, he can come up with anything on his day. Shrikant, I think he reached a tier final. He's a seeded player in this match and very good in Indian culture, Indian arts, Indian movies, sports, cricket. Again, someone who can't box in one category. Shaunak for the prolific quizzing is before he became a hotshot in the world of business. Shaunak used to quiz a lot in Kolkata, but then he's not been quizzing for a while because of work, and he enjoyed season 1. It's part of the Shawkeen's larger group in Kolkata. It's a cult. And anything about Siddharth, Arjun?
So Siddharth's experience has been limited to campus quizzing so far. So this is his first foray into open quizzing.
This is the game you cannot call who the winner could be. Match 63, Yogesa Mitla, Srinath Sundareswaran, Maitri Gupta, and Parth Bhatia. DG, why don't you talk about Yogesa, Srinath, and Parth? I'll help you there. So Yogesa, is our seeded player, and Yogesa is very good at F1, very good in some certain sports. I think he has some weaknesses, but he sort of stumbled in his way through many victories, and he finished high enough to be a seeded player. So good luck for season 2, Yogesa.
He had a very good turn in science, surprisingly. Okay. Even though F1 is one of his biggest strengths, F1 and media. Yeah. But science was his favorite in the first season.
Parth joins from the US. Prolific quizzer in his school days, but did not quiz much in college because he was in the US. Very motivated, very enthusiastic. He's happy to sit and learn from quizzes, but I think he has potential now after doing season 1 to do much better in season 2. Rahul, what were Maitri's strengths this season?
Maitri was especially good in sports this time. No, wait, sorry.
No, that can't be true.
No, that's not true. Sorry. Sports was actually a bit of a weakness. My bad.
Learning new things these days.
She actually had a very consistent run. All 8 topics, she was pretty standard across. So with a slight tinge towards lifestyle, I would say in this case.
And she had plenty of wins also. I mean, she was one of the late signups for season 1, and she beat some more established quizzers, I like to call it, through the season. So
yes, she did extremely well. Looking to see if she can improve on that this season.
She can for sure. Match 64 coming up. Dipayan Sen, Shayak Chakraborty, Sid Grover, and Chetan Mishra. Dipayan and Sid are new players. We don't know much about them unless Arjun can enlighten me about them. Chetan joins us for a second season. So thank you, Chetan. He's casual-ish quizzer. So good luck to Chetan. Shayak Chakraborty, what to say, the original prodigy of school quizzing in Calcutta. He was sandwiched in his school years between me and Arjo. In batch, I mean, no other way. Shayak had a lot of second places. He was complaining in season 1 that he was doing really well, coming second, but not getting his first. And I think he'll be disappointed due to a few brain fades. He'll look to improve on that this season. Arju, if you know a bit about Dipayan and Sid, or maybe we'll leave it for them to tell us.
So Dipayan has been pretty active for more than a decade in quizzing in general, but not very active in offline quizzing, turning up at venues and stuff. So, which doesn't matter at all when it comes to FLQL season 2. So, all the best to you, Dipayan.
Yeah, and we'll learn more about Sid as we go along. Match 65, we have Shashank Tyagi, Naveen Sharma, Dhruv Sheeler, and Krishnamurti Ganesh of Coach. Naveen's from Mumbai or formerly from Mumbai, DG?
Formerly from Mumbai, lives in Bangalore these days. Runs a travel-focused company and is a absolute sports fanatic. So sports, travel, entertainment are his key strengths.
He's joining us.
Extremely good, chilled out quizzer. You'll absolutely love quizzing with him.
That's nice. Shashank Tyagi is a great supporter of FLQL. Very good in India. I think there's some weaknesses otherwise, but he's a very young quizzer, to be fair. So Shashank can go from strength to strength. He'll be looking forward to improving his ranking because he's a very motivated quizzer for what it's worth. Drew joins from the US, big prize money winner at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but also our tier champion FLQL last season, one of the mid-table tiers. I think Rahul, he was our highest scoring entertainment or media player.
That's right. In fact, that would probably make him a dark horse because knowing so much about entertainment, which is a weakness for a lot of players, could turn into a strength. He's also, I think, in the top 5 media quizzers in the league as well. So
yeah, and of course that takes into account that we might have some India entertainment and media as well. So
exactly,
including those stats that he's so high. And Krishnamurti Ganesh is one of 2 brothers to win a tier last season, along with Swami Ganesh, who unfortunately is not playing with us this season, but will join us next. What's Coach's strength, Arjun?
I don't see I feel like conscious by that. I find no fault in him because, we have quizzed against him in APQC and I saw him season 1 as well. He just surprises you with the obscurest answers. You don't expect him to come up with the stuff and he just...
Yeah. He was also in the top 10 in the top 10 in world in the first season. So that should not be
probably one of the best quizzers currently in the Middle East, at least from people from India who have moved there. We move to the next one. Alagar Sami AP, Rajesh Shankaran, Abhishek Pratap, and Avinash Matthews. Amrit, you know a bit about Avinash, don't you?
Yeah, Avinash has been one of the important college quizzers that I saw coming up in the Delhi quizzing scene. He was an important part of the Delhi quizzing club as well, as you must know. I think currently he's practicing as a lawyer. So, good to see him in the league.
He has diverse interests, which is always good.
He has diverse interests as well. Very good general quizzer. Let's see how he does.
Abhishek joins us from Australia. He last year, I remember him telling me he wasn't much into quizzing for a few years, but an opportunity like FLQ allows him to again get back to quizzing. And I remember a couple of quizzes where I was reading a game and it was sort of a lower tier game. So I thought these questions would pass, but Abhishek would pounce on them and answer them. So he's there to surprise you. He can only improve, and best of luck to Abhishek. Alagar Sami AP, I'm hoping this is the Alagar Sami.
The same.
It is.
The same.
Yes, it's him. So
I believe this is the cutoff quizzer who's been a young and upcoming quizzer for the last.
The
very good.
Come on. You guys don't do justice to him.
What are his strengths, Rahul?
He's a very good India quizzer. How far it'll help him in FLQL remains to be seen. Other than that, he's very good at business as well, as was evident in his Crucible performance that 1 year. Definitely one to watch for. Avinash also one to watch for. I think he came 5th in the league in lifestyle.
You're right. Young blood. Rajesh Shankar and Arjo, much about him?
His experience is minimal, so let's see what season 2 offers us.
Before we move on, I would just want to say that Alagar Sami can easily be a tier 1 or tier 2 player if he has a good run, because the potential is that experience is there. That's the most.
Years of experience.
Alagar is a legend.
Yes. Match 67, Diya Bhattacharya, Akshay Ayush, Naman Jain, Venkat Raghavan, Sahasra Naman. I think Diya and Venkatesh Shah from Mumbai, Abhinav?
Yes, and 2 extremely good quizzers. Ingit, as Venkat Raghavan is known as, again, I have teamed with him for a long time. Exceptionally good quizzer. Probably no chink in his armor at all. Sports, entertainment, music, travel, you name it, he's got it covered. So Ingit,
but I need that in seat 4 again. He has some theories about seat 4, but I'm sure.
Yeah, so he's like an absolute front runner for this title. Diya Bhattacharya, again, newer entrant to the BQC, extremely good when it comes to literature, movies, music. Have quizzed quite a bit with her, and wonderful to see her back. She is actually these days been kind of hill station hopping at work. So it'll be wonderful for her. I think she'll join us from Nashik for season 2. So ought to be fun.
Akshay Ayush is one of our younger participants, Arjo.
Yep. This is a very interesting lineup that way because Naman happens to be, now we have actually reached what I think is the youngest player in the league. Naman,
19.
2002.
Yeah.
So he was the youngest marquee player in the recently concluded Pro Quizzing League as well. Played for Delhi Brainiacs. Very inspirational. Is very actively quizzing online last couple of years now. So Akshay Ayush and Naman, very similar age groups. Tussle there. And Dia and
I think second place is going to be a good battle for this match. Match 68 coming up: Santosh Kanbargi, Nirmal Rajagopalan, Vikas Plakot, and Rajiv Bhattacharjee. Rajiv Da is from Calcutta, very good in lifestyle and business and stuff like that. But then he's good in other stuff as well. I mean, you can't put him in a box. I think he just doesn't quiz as much as he might would like to. But I'm sure this league is just for people like Rajiv who can't otherwise have a time to take out from work to quiz. Vikas runs a lot of online quizzes on his own, so that is always much appreciated because people like you keep the culture running when we cannot do offline quizzing. So thank you, Vikas. Thanks for joining for the second season. Nirmal, top quizzer again from that sort of nexus team of Anush, Vineet, and Dinesh, and so on. It's hard to say in that team who's the best player, and Nirmal is also one of those sort of players, and that also makes him the seeded player in this match. Anything about Santosh, Arjun?
So Santosh has quizzed in college, so much like a lot of the other people.
Okay.
This is foray into open quizzing of sorts.
We'll know more. A nice match, match 69. Rajiv De Silva, Riddhi Puntambekar, Sanjay Kadaveru, and Anshuman Agarwal. Abhinav, you know at least two of these people.
Yes. So Rajiv De Silva, firstly, quizzer based in Goa. Again, one of the finest people to quiz and more importantly, hang out with. Very, very good with business. I know he's been a Crucible national finalist. Sreshth, you would know more. And wonderful to see him back.
But that doesn't justice to his caliber, I think. I think he's very good in gen quizzing. He's on the stalwart.
Absolutely. Correct. Yeah. Sanjay Kadaveru joins us from Hyderabad. He's also kind of coming back to quizzing after a long time. In fact, he's this kind of serial entrepreneur who, one of the things he's also been thinking of is some business ideas around quizzing. And that kind of helped him get back into the fold. So we've been interacting quite a bit, and FLQL came up as one of these really nice, engaging things that people are doing. So he's like, let's just try this out. But the guy is exceptionally knowledgeable, so should be good competition.
I'm sure he'll surprise a few people.
I'm sure too.
Anything about Riddhi or Anshuman?
So Anshuman is the governor of the current governor of the very happening IIT Kharagpur Quiz Club. It's like an academy of the next decade, from what I hear, the kind of effort and the kind of consistent teamwork they put into their work. So Anshuman has all of that work behind him and all of that with him. Riddhi
has quizzed with BQC in the past. She's been in Mumbai. We've seen a bit of her at BQC. Again, not very prolific there, but it's wonderful to see her back in this.
She does a lot of pub quizzing.
That's correct. Yeah.
She enjoys the Star Wars and Star Trek and all that stuff. She's into that sort of. So I mean, those things turn up all the time in FLQL. So it's very good to see you in this league. Match 70 coming up. We have Prashant Lidwin, Jesuva Xavier, Alok Mohan, Murthy MVR, and Gaurav Kharbanda. Gaurav started off strong, sort of petered away towards the end, but very enthusiastic quizzer, one of the early signups for both season 1 and season 2. So it's lovely to have your support, Gaurav. Best of luck for this season. Murthy MVR, I think some topics I've seen him say pass very quickly. So maybe there are some weaknesses. Maybe the stats will back it up as the season goes on. But still, he is our seeded player here because of his high finish in season 1. Prashant, don't know much about him, but
I do. So Prashant is a colleague of mine at Visa. In fact, he's sort of, I think, the only stuff we've discussed with, Prashant and I have ever discussed is quizzing. It's got absolutely nothing to do with work. Like, we kind of discovered each other a year back in terms of quizzing prowess, and since then he's sort of been into a lot of these things. And Prashant, I do know, made the tier 15 finals. Is that right?
One of the tier finals, yes.
Yes. So great to have him back here as well.
Yeah. Rahul, Alok Mohan, do you know anything about him?
Not really, not
Alok
that
is
familiar.
Alok is from Quiz
Fully
Dubai.
into all this.
Quiz Dubai established Quizzer very good with entertainment, Indian entertainment in particular. Again, looks like a very, very evenly matched field.
Yep. Match 71, we have Jacob Meyer, Sujit Ray, Manjeet Kumar, Arnab Mandal. Amrit, Arnab Mandal impressed you in season 1, didn't he?
Yeah, he did actually.
Yes.
I think he's part of the Delhi Brainiacs team. So I mean, I was constantly needling Arjo about his protege, but his protege surprised me at least by giving some very good answers. Actually, he has I think this is my personal opinion. I think he has a very niche series of things that he knows a lot about. So might be looking to expand that because of the nature of FLQL quizzing. So good for him. Actually,
so he can do really well this season.
Yeah.
In fact, gave a few very good answers in science and sports, at least in the games that I saw. Very good answers. So there is potential for that, for him for sure.
Abhinav, we were talking earlier about the junior WQC, which Shah did really well at podium finisher. Well, the winner in that competition was Jacob Myers, who is one of our players who is joining us season 2, and we have seeded him because he is a consistent finalist in Mimir as well. He's, I think, one of the best quizzers in the USA, and he's extremely young, and he's very knowledgeable about history, Middle Eastern history, general quizzing. He's someone who's definitely a tier 1 contender. A championship contender. This is someone who people should look out for, and we're very happy to have Jacob playing this season with us. Arjun, anything about Sujit or Manjeet?
So Manjeet did quiz in college, so hoping to discover more of his areas of interest in season 2. Same with Sujit. Not much info, so let's hope to learn more about Sujit.
I think this is a young game, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't. Match 72, Pradeep Ramaratnam. I think we should just call him by his nickname moving forward. Konga. Isa Schulz, Arush Sengupta, and Jatin Sangvi. A little bit of Jatin, not very much into serious quizzing. I thought that he did not enjoy season 1, maybe because he was a bit on the lower side of the rankings, but I'm so happy to see Jatin back for season 2. And it's for people like you that we're running FLQL so that the love of quizzing stays with you and the sort of fire stays ignited to continue even when offline quizzing begins again.
These are people who have actually, I think I read a quiz that Jatin was in, and these are people who are taking time off from their busy schedules actually and to quiz, grabbing 45 minutes here and there to sit in a corner and quiz without any disturbance. So that's actually very good that they're coming back again.
Yes. Arush, Arjo?
Not much info at this point, Sreshth.
Rahul, you know a bit about Pradeep for sure.
Pradeep was one of those quizzers who came in out of the blue and really thrashed everyone in this nostalgia quiz a few years back. So very good quizzer. Don't discount him. I think it'll be a very good game between Pradeep and Isa in this case.
DG, I'm sure Pradeep, I think, is based out of Singapore. I think he's someone who he's been into the quizzing circuit for a long time, but just maybe not attending quizzes as much because of his geography and stuff like that.
Yeah, but he used to be a regular at the Bombay Quiz Club till he moved to Singapore. Have quizzed a lot with him. Exceptionally good with sports, entertainment, and actually overall general quizzing. So yeah, it's quite delicious. Pradeep versus Isa should be like right up there among matches to watch out for.
And Isa, of course, for those who don't know, he's what I do know is you should definitely follow him on Twitter. Is that his ambition is to be the world #1. So if that tells you all you need to know about this person's drive about quizzing and so on. And apart from that, the lovely man who is also a chaser on the US version of the chase. So you cannot discount this guy. He is also someone who will give the top tiers a run for their money. He might even win the title because a few players are taking a break this season. So he's someone to look out for. And if you get a chance to talk with him, take a few moments out. One of the loveliest people in quizzing right now. Match 73 coming up. We have Matthew Marcus, Gokul Raghunath, Dylan Minarik, and Anshul Naseri. Two of them are from US, Dylan and Matthew. And Dylan is someone who's been going absolutely up the world quizzing rank for the last few years. I believe he's very good in entertainment and media, but I might be mistaken. But it doesn't matter. He's very, very good.
4 out of 5 cats, I think. He plays for the US team 4 out of 5 cats. They've been topping the OKL US and UK leagues for some time now. So
Yeah,
very
which
strong.
is why he's our seeded player. He's going to be
Very
the
strong.
who will surprise you all the time. Matthew, he goes with the name of Mabooster Spieler on Facebook, if you know, or if you
No,
see the name.
that's way.
So you can see what sort of tastes he likes. So welcome, Matthew. Hope you enjoy. Anshan Nasuri had some good wins this season, I think, Arjun.
Yeah. He did pretty well in, I think if I'm not mistaken, science and history. Rahul can always correct that.
IIT Bombay, very good quizzer, entertainment and science.
And Gokul, Arjun?
So Gokul experience was moderate. So hoping to be a more frequent quizzer by his own admission.
Yeah.
Let's hope we can provide the gateway there.
Before we have,
I think even the numbers back him up there. Anshul was number 6 in science across the league last season. So definitely has his strengths.
Matt 74, Mrityunjay, Nilayam Kode, Anubhav Datta, Ramesh Atre, and Jayashree Mohanka. Jayashree Mohanka is what do we say? She's the legend of Indian quizzing, only female winner of Maha Quizzer. I think she had over 40 years of experience of quizzing right from her school days, college days, business school days, and open corporate days. I think she'll be disappointed with her performances, although she doesn't care much about results, I know. But still, she's a hungry quizzer for success. I mean, we wish her the best of luck for this season. Ramesh Atre, prolific question writer, digs deep into topics. Is not like a half-baked reader of stuff. He goes deep into stuff. So he came very close in many quizzes. He started off strong, just petered out towards the end. So it will be a battle first between these two people. Anubhav Datta, casual quizzer, happy that he's turned up for season 2, appreciate it. And Mrityunjay and Arjun, if you know a little bit about it.
So he just happens to join the ever-expanding tribe of people who are returning to quizzing through FundaesLiga. So we are extremely happy to have you on board and just wish you all the best.
Math 75, we have Naveen Jaikumar, Shivam Bharadwaj, Setupati Karnan, and Brinda Basu. Well, Naveen Jaikumar is also, like Jayashree ma'am, the most experienced quizzers in India, one of the better question writers and hosts in quizzing in India. So a lot to learn from us from his question writing style and general candor and persona in Indian quizzing. Top quizzer doesn't take his results very seriously, which is probably good. He enjoys every question, doesn't keep much track about the scorecard nor about the bonus attempts and stuff. He's just there to have fun. It's always appreciated. And Naveen sir, thank you so much for your support in season 1 and season 2. It motivates us a lot. Shivam joins us from the US. Used to study in Singapore, in Chandigarh or Mohali. Especially good in biz, good in science. Some weaknesses otherwise here and there, but most importantly, he is enthusiastic. And with Rohan Naidu in Singapore, they won lots of quizzes, college quizzes. So he knows what quizzing is all about. He's won a lot. So not much to say. Arjo, you know a bit about Setupati and Brinda.
So Setupati quizzed in college, much like a lot of the other people. This is his foray into open quizzing. Brinda, interesting tidbit, was in the first match of season 1 of FLQL. And over the season, I kind of tried to keep track of her performances. And I saw remarkable improvement in range of answers growing over matches across the season. So that's something to definitely be proud of, Brinda.
Thank you, Professor Ganguly. We'll move to match 76. And this is a game with Akash Patil, Kingshuk Biswas, Akul Gurtu, and Kapinjal Chaudhary. Well, Kapinjal, Arjo, actually Amrit. You must tell us a bit about Kingshuk, Akul, and Kapinjal.
So this is a year in which I probably know 3 of the people, one of them by reputation. But anyway, Kapinjal is part of the Twin Paradox team with his identical twin Kamanashish, who for some reason doesn't participate in this. Maybe they alternate their appearances in the quiz. I don't know. They're extremely identical. We're not sure about that. But Kapinjal currently has continued business quizzing even through the lockdown. He is currently one of the probably in the top 10 best business quizzers in the country right now. He's improved remarkably. He was a junior of me in college and done very well in the business quizzing.
I think in college days he was more of a general quizzer. I think
yes. After that he specialized in business quizzing, and right now from what I have seen of his results at quizzes, he's improved a lot, doing very well, beating big guns. Akul is a Delhi-based quizzer who
actually has big guns.
Yeah, who literally has big guns, going by his sartorial choices in the quizzes. Got strengths in history, art, sets a very good history quiz for the St. Stephen's College here. But again, like a lot of people here, doesn't really care about the results all that much compared to a lot of college quizzers or just out of college quizzers. Does very well, should be doing very well if he can just focus a little bit more.
He started his quizzing basically in college. He did not.
Yes,
He
that's right.
hasn't quizzed much after college. So it's those 3-4 years. So good to see Akul back. Yes, Amrit, you were saying about King.
At the risk of the other people having more stories about King Shukda, I'll just stop and say that King Shukda is probably a legend of Calcutta quizzing. I mean, he's a larger than life personality in more ways than one. And quizzing with him along with other things is always fun, as Sreshth and Arjo will know. But again, like I said, he underperformed last season. He's a very good general quizzer as well, got immense strengths in sports. So he should be
as well.
Yeah, plus he has. I think he's very competitive quizzer as well. I think he'll be raring to go this season for sure.
And Rahul, Kingshuk, I think, was the top 5 for a few categories.
Kingshuk, yes, sports is definitely one of his strengths, as we have seen over the years. But in this league, this last season, he did especially well in World, surprisingly. He was second in the league in World.
Yeah, he was second in World, and I think a little bit of improvement in sports, and which is his strength.
Yeah.
Sports, he was still pretty good, but knowing his reputation, he'll probably be gunning for the first position this season.
Yeah, Akash Patel, I think, was in PQL Pro Quiz Battle of the Kids, that the event. He hasn't been quizzing much, but he'll be disappointed with his result, and I think he's looking to improve. That's why he signed up for season 2 to see how much better he can go this season. So good luck. Match 77, we're coming towards the end of the draw, much to a lot of people's relief who are watching right now. Match 77, we have Sania Narulkar, Movin Miranda, Somnath Chandan, Rishiraj Shanmugavandan. Rishiraj S, he's from Pune, quizzed in Pune, Army Public School and so on, then quizzed in Thapar, Mohali, now lives in the US, takes part in OQL US. So he's someone who has quizzed from his school days, just maybe not as intensely as he would have liked or desired. So welcome Rishiraj to the league. Best of luck. Somnath Chanda, one of the most prolific question writers, quiz masters in India in the college circuit, part of the Quiz Lovers of Kolkata team, which had some excellent years in the 2010s, winning many quizzes in Calcutta and impressing many people. He has some definite strengths in India, definite strengths in sport, in some types of film, some types of entertainment. He's very strong. So he's someone to look out for, DG, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Movin, Rahul, a little bit about Movin.
I think Movin had a good start to last season, but then dropped off slowly. If you look at his reputation and his experience, you can definitely say that he can improve across all 8 quads this time around, all 8 topics rather, and be where he should be, which is somewhere in the top tiers for sure.
Yeah. And he's someone who's one of the founding fathers of the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship. So one thing we know, he's always dealing with questions, writing, editing, and so on.
Exactly. Exactly. So he knows his way around questions. So expect him to be a favorite as long as he
improve his recall
to the top. Yeah.
And
exactly.
Abhinav, a little bit of Sania. We missed her last season. She had signed up, but she could not continue. But yes.
No, Sania is one of the finest quizzes I've ever met. And so some of you know, I've been teaming up with her quite regularly over the last year and a half. And she just never ceases to amaze me. I mean, initially when we started out, it was more like, okay, she's like this quiz at art, architecture, food, fashion. But you know, the more I quiz with her, there's practically nothing she doesn't know. She is like cracking sports answers at will these days. So you know, at the cost of placing a wager, she's who my bet is on to win this one.
Oh, lovely. I wasn't expecting that. That's very exciting. I think we'll all tune in to watch this game. Match 78 coming up. Ashwini Natu, Saurabh Das, Jyotish Singh, and Shri Patwardhan. Shri joined us, I think, from Singapore. I think I read a friendly for him. Welcome, Shri. Best of luck for the competition. Saurabh took part last season, taking part this season as well. Sort of in the third quarter of the leaderboard, so there's only one way to go upwards. So good luck, Saurabh. Ashwini takes part in the Ruby division, I think, of Asia Pacific Quiz Championship. She has given some very prolific, difficult answers. Also, I noticed when I was reading games, she also read some games for us. So she's very enthusiastic about quizzing, and not just only enthusiastic, but the answers come out very prolifically as well. Something about Jyotish, I think Rahul is best placed to say.
Yeah, Jyotish had a slightly underwhelming season considering how well he's done in other quizzing formats. He did do pretty well in culture though. Culture he had a good run. Otherwise, lots to improve on in the second season compared to the first, for sure.
Yeah. Match 79, we have Sharath Armaya, Shishira's brother, I have to assume, Ravi Ananthan, Apratim Apra Mukhopadhyay, and Amartya A. Sharan. Don't know much about Sharath, Ravi, or Amartya. Arjun, you can just fill in the gaps for me while I talk about Apratim. So Apratim has not quizzed much after his college days, but he came into this competition roaring. He beat a lot of people who consistently quizzing these days, but it just showed that the base knowledge you develop in school quizzing and college quizzing can take you very far in a format like FLQL, where a lot of your basics are you have to jog your memory for the basics, and those are things he's very strong at. He's going to surprise you with stuff about India, about Indian entertainment, maybe history and stuff like that. Amrit, am I incorrect?
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, college quizzing times, I used to go and watch these quizzes sometimes, and his knowledge of history and art specifically were extremely good for a college quizzer. And I mean, of course, he's been out of quizzing for a while, wasn't quizzing very regularly. But I mean, class is permanent, as they say. So I mean, I'm sure he'll be doing very well again, pretty competitive quizzer from what I remember. So he'll be ready to do well in season 2.
And what about Sharath, Ravi, and Amartya?
So Amartya has been quizzing for a little more than a decade now. A lot of experience there that he brings to the table. Ravi quizzed mostly at college, so this is more of a return to open quizzing for him.
He has shown up at BQC a few times, so it's good to see him back as well.
Okay, we move to match number 80. Penultimate match before the penultimate match. Shubhadeep Sarkar, Edwin Wilson, Dave McBrien, and Abhishek Hariharan. I think Abhishek, Rahul was one of the topic champions or runners-up, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I did not know personally much about Abhishek before season 1 started, but he's...
Yeah, a very interesting case. He came second in lifestyle, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, it wasn't as competitive in other regards, but lifestyle, he was pretty good. So that dropped him up to about the top half of, or close to the top half of the league table.
Yes. Edwin played season 1 towards the bottom half of the points table, but he seemed very excited about quizzing. That's some of the answers he gave were excellent. So good luck, Edwin. Shubhadeep Sarkar, better known as Mako in the quiz circuit. He was one of the marquee players in the Pro Quizzing League who I snapped up quite early, and he gave me a lot of success. But I won't reveal the result because it's not been telecast yet. So Shubhadeep, welcome to the quiz. I think it's a solo quiz. If your recall ability is on point, I think you can go very far because Shubhadeep actually can work out answers otherwise, and he also has a knack of knowing what a correct answer might be. Arjo, Dave McBrien joins us from the UK, doesn't he?
Yep, and very experienced in international quizzes, regular in the top 40 at WQC over the last few years, plays in the Mimir leagues, plays OQL. We faced off against each other in the QB league, I remember, so a lot of experience there.
And that's why he's our seeded player, one of a few players who are coming up in season 2 and being seeded immediately. Match 81, Pratyush Singhal, Haritra Mustafi, Caleb Liu, and Raja Gopal PS. Another person who comes into season 2 without playing season 1 but gets the seeding right away is Raja Gopal PS. Rahul, I think you've seen him from the closest quarters.
Yeah, I've seen him quiz for a long time. He has a lot of strengths. He's not to be underrated here. Science is, of course, a big one. He's won multiple Kikwe science quizzes. American sports is a surprising one where I've never seen him miss a single question in American sports. He's pretty much got that covered. So expect him to go really far this season. He's
on trains, on Indian train system, maybe he'll do very well there. We have Caleb joining us, I think maybe Singapore. Singapore, and he is also one of the people who have done an excellent job running the Asia Pacific Quiz Championship. I think he has a lot of quizzing credential. Beyond being an organizer and a participant, I think he's part of the Singapore team, which takes part there consistently, either Singapore A or Singapore B. Either way, he is definitely a top contender to do well and upset some quizzers in otherwise people who may not take him that seriously because they haven't heard much about him.
I think he's ranked pretty high in the WQC as well.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so Caleb, we are all rooting for you. Aritra Mustafi, I think, he's very young quizzer. I think his sister is also a quizzer. Aritra is very good in sports. She runs an excellent sports, couple of excellent sports trivia handles on Twitter, which is absolutely brilliant. Important thing is he's motivated to do well, and you'll see the expression on his face when he gets the answer right or wrong. He does not like missing answers, which he thought he should have gotten. So that's the kind of people you love to quiz with or quiz against. And Pratyush Singhal, Arjo, I feel like you might have a bit of knowledge about him.
Pratyush and Aritra, this is an interesting matchup because we have the youth of Pratyush and Aritra, both 2000s kids, as it were, versus the experience of Caleb and Raju. So, yeah.
I think Pratyush is from Hyderabad. I think he's more like my age, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, we'll move to the next match. And the final match, well, if you're one of the 4 people who are wondering why your name hasn't come, you can blame Murphy's Law. It can happen. But we have reached the final match. I don't remember who can turn up, but let's see. Tanveer Ali, Ramki V, Daniel Fullard, and Harman Singh. Tanveer, fairly senior quizzer, but just does not quiz as much as he would have liked. But it was very good to see him take part season 1 enthusiastically. I'm sure he'll only improve in season 2. Rahul, did Ramki underperform? I mean, by underperform, did he not perform up to his potential in season 1? I feel like he didn't, because he's actually a top quizzer he's a consistent landmark qualifier, consistent qualifying FLQL quizzes with the Quiz Dubai teams. They reach final.
He's been excellent in the QFI circuit, but in terms of his overall ranking, yes, slight underperformance there. But in sports, he's been ranked 7th in the league. So definitely one area where he's not disappointed anyone.
Totally shocking, isn't it?
Totally shocking, like you say, yeah.
And what about Daniel and Harman, Arjun?
So Harman quizzed mostly in college, still attends a few KQA quizzes here and there. Daniel, I'm not aware. I mean,
well, all you need to know about Daniel is his Twitter handle is the Quiz Addict. What more do you need to know? He is someone who is always reading questions, writing questions. He runs a quiz podcast where he asks questions. He shares trivia on his Twitter. Overall, experienced, enthusiastic, and enterprising, I guess. So best of luck to the players. Ramki here is essentially the seeded player, but it's very interesting to see who comes second, because I don't think any of these players know each other either through social media or otherwise other information. So that is the 82 matches which you just had, and that brings us to the end of the draw for season 2's first game week. It's been a long ride, but if you're awake and still watching, thank you for watching. And before we say goodbye, just want to say thanks to Rahul, Arjo, Amrit, and Abhinav for joining me this evening for the draws. I think all of you brought different things to the table, and I think we've given the viewers and all the participants and followers of season 2 somebody or the other to root for, and somebody or the other to follow through the season and to see whether they can do better than them or beat them in a particular game or not. And that is what the whole exercise of this recording was. So thank you, everyone. And those of you watching, best of luck for season 2. By the time you see this video and this part of the video, you will have an email in your inbox with all the details of how to schedule games. And so best of luck and enjoy the next level.